Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, and tonight we have guest Mark Fiorentino. We're going to be talking about the theory of super relativity. We are going to be getting into some physics stuff, anti-gravity, theory of relativity, all that stuff. This guy has also had spiritual experiences alongside all this. And I know there's definitely people in my chat room that are interested in this as much as I am. Especially when we talk about UFOs and how are they traveling across this vast distances of space to get here, right? Or are they interdimensional? This will also be the topic tonight in the World Wide Web of Weird. And boy, do I got a World Wide Web of Weird for you tonight. As usual, lots of weird going on, right? In the world. But are aliens interdimensional? Or do they have physical ships that are traveling here that can bend space and time and get here? Mark Fiorentino is our guest. We're going to see how he breaks apart reality, or the physics that we think we know. Most of us don't know crap about physics. I'll admit it, I don't. I try to. My dad, boy, I told him he should listen to this one tonight because this is definitely his area of expertise above mine. But it's something I've always been interested in. I try to grasp it as best I can, so grasp it with me. I'll be the dummy in the room with you. I'll be trying to understand all the great information Mark Fiorentino is going to share with us tonight. But like I said, this guy's had also a very spiritual journey, and I want to get into those aspects of tonight because as I told him before the show, it's all about our experiences. We're gathering data because this reality is so much more than what we understand or know. And our experiences are the clues. And Mark has had some experiences. So we're going to get into that tonight and later open up the phone lines. Lots of weird to get to, so let's go ahead and get rolling into the show. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, Mark Fiorentino, will be joining us after the World Wide Web of Weird, after our first commercial break. Hopefully joining me here. I got her in the waiting room. We're going to see. Jamie's had issues. Her computer took a crap. So I think she's trying by phone. We're going to see. She was trying a little bit before the show. It was not so great. Let's see how she is. Are you there, Jamie?
On a wing and a prayer.
Oh, on a wing and a prayer, and I hear you just fine. All right. Better than it was out. Don't go outside again.
I know.
Okay, awesome. All right, glad you're here, too. Like I said, we got a lot of weird to get to in the World Wide Web of Weird tonight, so I want to go ahead and get rolling with that because some stuff I want to talk about, stuff going on in the world, right? And some weirdness and UFOs and, interdimensional aliens. I don't know. We'll get into all that. Lot to discuss, so let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight, I thought I'd start off with this story. It's been going around a lot. A lot of people talk about it, and very interesting and mysterious. And interesting timing of this. United States Air Force general with UFO connections goes missing in New Mexico. I'm sure some of you guys heard the stories or other podcasters talking about this. This is very interesting timing. We're going to get into this if you haven't heard about it. He's missing, and this is one of the guys, could have been, they don't want talking right now with this whole supposed disclosure happening, right? For those listening on the Paranormal Soup radio channel on the Talkstream Live Paranormal Radio app, we are a webcast streaming out live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. But if you want to listen, I will narrate as best as possible. All right. First up, I don't think I have any videos tonight, and I've had so much issues with StreamYard trying to show videos lately, so that'll be all right, I think. Yeah, no videos. Sorry, no videos. We're just going to be talking. All right, this is the Daily Mail article. UFO-linked Air Force general's disappearance takes a mysterious new twist amid sighting in New Mexico. I got the unexplained mystery article. It's a little bit shorter. The 68-year-old who retired from the U.S. Air Force in 2013 vanished without a trace after last being seen on Friday night near Quail Run Court in Albuquerque. According to his wife, he had left home without his phone or his watch, a fact she found particularly odd as being an experienced outdoorsman. This isn't something he would normally do. He also suffers from medical conditions that make his disappearance even more of a concern. Authorities have since launched an investigation in hope of tracking him down. I've heard the FBI is involved, actually, too. Our priority is finding Mr. McCasland, if you say his name safely, said Sheriff John Allen of the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office. Sorry, totally butchering that. Our investigators and search teams are working continuously and we're coordinating closely with our local, state, and federal partners. Back during the U.S. Air Force days, McCasland was often associated with the UFO phenomenon. He once headed up the Air Force Research Laboratory, the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. You know how many times I brought up Wright-Patterson? Like, we forget about Wright-Patterson. In Ohio, where he managed a $2.2 billion science and technology program. The base has long been associated with black projects and rumors of reverse-engineered alien technology, and is also in the place where Roswell UFO debris was said to have been taken. It was also connected to Project Blue Book, which looked at thousands of UFO cases. While it is unlikely that McCasland's disappearance has anything to do with any of that, it still remains a mystery exactly why he went out and where he went, ultimately what happened to him. Interesting timing that he disappears. But we're going to get disclosure, right? All right, moving on.
Yeah.
All right, Article 2. I got to remember I got a couple pictures here for Article 2. While that's going on, you have NASA getting photographs of UFOs on Mars. Yeah. A recent photo snapped by NASA's Mars Curiosity rover shows what appears to be a classic flying saucer in the sky over the red planet. The intriguing image was reportedly taken on February 22nd from the Gales crater. Eagle-eyed anomaly hunters sourcing NASA photos for strange details quickly pounced upon the photo when they noticed a remarkably symmetrical dark object seemingly cruising through the sky above the Martian horizon. As one might imagine, some have suggested that the rover accidentally captured proof of either a Martian civilization or a clandestine craft sent to the red planet from Earth as part of a secret space program. We'll talk more about that in a second. That said, more skeptical observers argue that the flying saucer was merely a technical glitch that produced the appearance of something otherworldly thanks to part of the phenomenon of pareidolia. That's not really how pareidolia works when something's like floating up in the sky. Okay. With that in mind, what do you make of this particular picture of the red planet? All right, so that's the article from Coast to Coast. So hold on. Let's zoom in. All right.
Is that recent or from 24?
Should be from this year. This article is from this year. It's from the March 3rd. And they said it was discovered on the 22nd of this year. All right, here's a better picture. So it's a fragment. Pareidolia really does not explain that, NASA. That's, something there, right?
What mountain range is that?
Well, this is on Mars.
Oh,
in
Mars.
the Gale crater. Yeah. Not on Earth. If there's been on Earth, I could say it's a bird. But this is Mars.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be any birds. Shouldn't be anything up in the air. I don't know. But, it could be
curious.
something. Yeah. Moving on. Do-do-do-do. Number 3 tonight. Let me back out because my articles are not loading. There we go. And still not loading. Why the heck, man? Oh. Uh-oh. Which one is this? Oh, this is... Okay. I just got to find the article because I did not save it right. Okay. So this one here is a UFO that's over the Albert Dock. Where is this one at? Sorry, I'm trying to get my article for this one. It did not load. Let me go to my bookmarks. I know it's here. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Sorry about that. Peculiar photo from England. That's where it was. Shows what witnesses claim was a classic flying saucer. I mean, I know if you guys can see it there, but yeah, definitely classic flying saucer. Spotted cruising through the sky of a city. According to a local media report, the intriguing image was snapped by Gideon Allen earlier Sunday morning in the city of Liverpool. I heard humming sound and looked up, he recalled. It was quite low down, hovering and darting over the water by Albert Dock. Allen observed that the weirdly translucent object resembled a classic flying saucer with a light on the what I imagined to be the front of the suspected craft that hovered for a few seconds. Interestingly, the bewildered witness observed that the object went flying off into the air towards the left and then pop. It was gone. As for what the weird saucer could have been, Allen suggested it was a manifestation of an otherworldly visitor specifically intrigued by his presence. A practitioner of witchcraft, he mused, maybe my magical spiritual abilities are drawing them in. I've made contact without realizing this. And I hear Tim project, Senator or Congressman, to project. They might be trying to contact demons. I don't know. But yeah, this guy is a witch, and he thinks he might have summoned this. He's being funny about it, you know. I'm not picking on him. All right. Moving on.
I'm trying to find a new phone jack stand or a stand right now.
All right. Well, I want to mute yourself while you're doing that so you don't make a bunch of noise.
I'm going to.
Okay. All right. On to Article 4. We covered this last year. First, to start out for a couple worldwide webs, where this certain asteroid was going to strike Earth, and then it changed to it's going to strike the moon. Well, I always tell you I'll update you on these things. Once they tell you no, it's no chance of us hitting it. And that's what the update is here. NASA offers final verdict on odds of asteroids striking the moon in 2032. Back in 2025, concerns were raised when a fast-approaching space rock known as asteroid 2024 YR4 was determined to have a 1 in 83 chance of colliding with Earth in 2032. As the days and weeks went on, the odds of the collision seemed to keep increasing. At one point were as high as 1 in 32. Fortunately, though, one better observation of the objects were made, the odds were ultimately revised down to the point of irrelevance with just a 0.001% chance of striking Earth. That would seem to have been the end of it, but then a short while later, astronomers analyzing the asteroid determined that it had not insignificant chance of colliding with the moon instead. The odds of such a collision stood as much as 4.3%. But now, following renewed observation, NASA has finally confirmed that the chance of the asteroid hitting the moon was now essentially zero. So I always tell you guys, I'll update you. You know, the doomsday asteroids coming into the world stories, and then when they revise it, I'll let you know. Or we all just die one night from the asteroid. I don't know. Moving on. And I gotta find Article 5. All right. And then we talked about the. Oh, I hear
Another
you.
doomsday fish washed up.
Oh, what's that? Doomsday fish?
Yeah, you got to look into that.
Oh, okay. Doomsday fish. Put that
Just
in my notes.
another thing.
Okay. All right. Well, more bad news for Artemis 3. A major policy change was revealed on Friday as the space agency grappled with delays and technical issues. As things stand, the upcoming Artemis 2 mission, which will see astronauts fly around the moon but not land on it, has been delayed multiple times, is now scheduled to launch in April at the earliest. While disappointing, it seemed as though things would otherwise stay on track, and the following up mission Artemis 3 would see the first manned moon landing in over 50 years. Now, though, NASA's come out with a further announcement that has basically upended the entire schedule by revealing that Artemis 3 will no longer seek to land humans on the moon. What did I say was going to happen? What did I say was going to happen? Instead, it will be a low Earth orbit flight launch somewhere next year to test docking maneuvers. The actual manned landing will be attempted by Artemis 4, possibly as soon as 2028. Okay. You just keep pushing that back. I'm not one of those people that don't think we didn't go to the moon. I tell you guys, I think we went. I think we might have faked some stuff after. But if aliens are there, we have good reason why we can't go back. I don't know. Maybe.
But I knew just something like this was probably going to happen.
Yeah, basically.
If even that.
All right, let me move this out of the way. Keeps putting my guest who's in the waiting room in the same spot. I'm afraid I'm gonna delete him out. If I accidentally delete you, Mark, out of here, come back. He's in the waiting room. I don't want to accidentally put him out, but he keeps putting the box right next to his. All right, we're already on Article 6. Probably zoomed through these a little too quick, but I wanted to get to this. We're talking about this, and recently I watched the interview. Gary McKenna's background talking about our secret UFO fleet, or remember Gary McKenna, the hacker? He's been doing interviews again. I find this really interesting that he's out and about. UFO hacker Gary McKenna found files referencing non-terrestrial officers. It was one of the most hotly debated news stories over decades. Even today, more than 20 years later, questions still remain over exactly what Scottish hacker Gary McKenna actually found. Actually, in the early 2000s, from his girlfriend's London apartment, oh boy, his girlfriend had to be pissed. McKinnon managed to gain access to restricted NASA and U.S. military computers in an effort to find evidence of UFOs and extraterrestrial visitors that were being covered up by the U.S. government. His clandestine skills were matched only by his naivety, as when he was caught, he ended up facing demands from him to be extradited to the U.S. Most of you guys should know this story, right? And he's been doing more interviews, and he's talking about it, that we have a hidden space fleet. Well, dear golly, where's our tax? Where's the disclosure on that? I mean, he said non-terrestrial officers, that they're seeing, and names of ships in space. Are we already on Mars? Is that why they're getting pictures of that? There's the famous Martian man on the rover that somebody, you see their shadow like they're there repairing. I don't know. It's the land of illusion.
Think about the atmosphere and how they make it more red than it actually is. It's more close to what Earth looks like.
Yeah. I just think, Gary McKenna, he did this, he hacked in it, and obviously he did it because they wanted to arrest him and, extradite him to this country. So obviously he did it, and he's back, still committing to what he saw on those files. So do we have a secret space fleet? I mean, shouldn't this where the disclosure program go? I mean, we wouldn't if there's a secret space fleet out there. That means they got alien technology to do that. Jamie, your audio is going real you're coming through a buzzer when you talk. Something like buzzing really weird.
I have something clicking on the side.
Okay. Now I don't hear it, but it was like when you're talking, it's buzzing out or something. Just letting you know. So why don't we call this guy up to the hearings? Let's have hearings. Let's talk to Gary McKenna. You want to arrest him? Let's give him immunity. Let's talk about what he saw. Right? Or why don't we find out where these files are that he saw? Right? They're supposed to disclose everything. I'm not downing Gary McKenna. I'm not. I think he's telling the truth. But I'm telling you, your government's not. I'm telling you, the Pentagon's not. I'm telling you, the DOD's not. None of them are telling you the truth. And then they're telling you they don't want to tell you the truth. They're telling you they don't want to tell you anything. No, even if a president gives them an executive order to, they're not. That brings us to our last article, so I can cry and moan about this, right? But I'm not. I shouldn't, because I've called this. I've called this for 10 years. I've called this for the last several years when it comes to disclosure. Last article. And again, I don't like politics. I hate politics. I hate all of them. I'm just saying, I don't get me all into politics. I don't care. Hate Trump, like Trump. I don't care. It doesn't matter what president's there. Trump faces Pentagon revolt as demon fears stall UFO disclassification bombshell. Demon fears. You've heard Representative Anna Paulina Luna, is that her name? She's been trying to get the disclosure. Her and Tim Purgett, my hand, more power to them. But
Someone's
both of them
going after Wiccans too. I can't remember who it is.
Going after who?
Wiccans, witches.
Wiccan? Oh, witches?
The more religious side of paganism.
Yeah, that audio is getting bad again, Jamie. I don't know what it is. It's it'll buzz or something when you talk. I don't know. It might want to just be closer to the phone. I don't know. I don't know what it does. But anyways, this whole thing, you have also had 200 soldiers make complaints just recently that their generals are telling them that they're preparing for Armageddon for this war in Iran. You know, it's like there's this whole religious undertone with our generals right now. And you know, of course, we complain about the other side being religious zealots, you know, but we're not. Even though we got people in our Pentagon that are like, we can't release this information because they're going to make people see they're just demons. They're just demons. Remember what happened to the remote viewing program? How did that end? The senator was like, "Oh, this is demonic work." You know, does religious ideology, is that what's keeping the UFO secret from coming out? People have always talked about this for years. You know, when it comes to UFO disclosure, will it destroy religious institutions? Is that the fear? I saw Stephen Greer, and I've had my issues with Stephen Greer, but I actually agree with a lot of what he said in an interview recently. I think it was on Redacted. And he was talking about they're trying to confuse and conflate. There are different things going on here, but they're trying to lump it all into their interdimensional demons. Even though there's physical aliens, entities that are traveling with anti-gravity and, you know, somehow warping space-time to get here. That's what Stephen Greer was arguing. I believe him. I think there's a lot of different things going on here. And interdimensional things.
There seems to also be a very large religious aspect that's like going hand in hand with a lot of this other phenomena.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like,
I mean, look.
it's like a war against good and evil, like, for real, like dark and light. And
There is, you know. But like I said, you know, I don't give a crap what some generals' religious ideas are. You know, if your president has given you an executive order to give all the files, well, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
And release them.
Exactly.
Because how many people have been killed or disappeared, like the UFO general at the beginning of the story? Was he made to disappear because you don't want certain information coming out?
Mm-hmm.
I think they've destroyed our universities and science. Maybe we'll get into that tonight with our guest, Mark Fiorentino. But I think they've corrupted our physics and our institutions to keep anti-gravity and the ideas and the technology they're using. They could have a space fleet right now. They have a space fleet built. Alien technology or just technology, whatever they figured out, and they've just corrupted the whole institutions to keep everybody else from getting it. And it would also destroy, like, the petro industry and the whole economy and billionaire friends of all these people, the military-industrial complex. There's a lot of reasons I guess they'd have. But I guess religious is one of them, too. I don't think we're going to get disclosure. I don't think, you know, Trump can give the executive order. I think other presidents have tried in some sense. This is the most, I'll give Trump credit. He gave, for the effort, But in the end, I think he's going to be completely ignored. And that's what this is telling me. Insider claims religious anxieties and interdimensional theories are slowing the release of long-awaited UFO files. President Donald Trump's pledge to pull back the curtain on America's deepest UFO secrets has reportedly hit unexpected turbulence, not from political rivals, but from within his own defense establishment. Officials are weighing how much the public should be told, with concerns ranging from national security to cultural and religious sensitivities. What began as a bold promise of transparency has become a contested process. The outcome could determine whether July's planned disclosure is remembered as a turning point or a cautious half step. We can only wait and see. We had Jamie back in. She had to reload. We can only wait and see. I don't know what will happen. I don't know what will get released, if it's going to be some ground-shattering thing. But, there's still Epstein files aren't coming out. That's just that. I mean, that's just, last 20 years of secrecy of that going on. I mean, the UFO thing's 80 years they've been keeping this secret. And it's hidden technology, maybe a space fleet out there, zero-point energy, who knows? Could change society. They don't want to change because it takes away their power and control. When I say they, I mean the military-industrial complex, the banking industrial complex, the big players and the families and those people in charge. They lose control, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I've heard, I can tell you, I have no idea. But are we going to get information in July? I don't feel good about it. I don't see it. When you're hearing this being leaked, that, it's because of, this religion. That might be one part of it, the religious thing.
I don't think it's going to be, as juicy as we're hoping for. Maybe some breadcrumbs.
I think it'll be much like how when they had that first photo op Epstein release thing, they gave him these binders full of stuff that was all public information. It made all these stupid influencers feel special.
Yeah, how
that
many
day.
pages was like 3,000 or something?
Yeah. I don't know.
900 pages into blah, blah, blah.
But Jamie, every time you talk now, it's like something scratching on a board. Like grating cheese. I don't know. Or like one of those, I don't know. It was working fine, dang it, earlier. We got to go to commercial break. Our guest tonight is Mark Fiorentino. We're going to talk about the theory of super relativity. And maybe we can get into his ideas of how the UFOs actually fly. You know, anti-gravity. How does that all work? Is our government keeping it secret? Or are they corrupting our institutions so they don't know the science of how to make anti-gravity? I mean, there's a long body list of dead people who worked in anti-gravity or zero-point energy. Just saying, or anybody who came up with, like, a car runs on water, too, anything that would disrupt that industry. Long list of dead people. Don't know if it's related. Or if that missing UFO general is related to anything. We don't know. We just live in land of illusion and confusion. But we will be back after the short commercial break.
You were brought here for one purpose, necromancy.
A ceremony dating back to the pre-Christian era. It's the art of reviving the dead. It requires involvement with evil spirits by the person performing the act.
The devil god brings life to the dead.
No, please. No, please.
And death to the living. Necromancy. Starring Orson Welles and Pamela Franklin. From Cinerama releasing. In color, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Hello, I am Fernando Martinez. I think by now you know I am an emotional kind of guy. People stop me in the street and say, Fernando, what the hell is wrong with me? Silk shirt, hairy chest, enough aftershave to drown a household pet, but I still cannot get a woman. I tell them you are an ignorant fool. Without a symbol of power and fertility around your neck, what kind of woman is going to respect you? That is why I have teamed up with Medallion Man, the shop for medallion needs. Medallion Man caters to all levels of masculinity. For the strong, silent type, a medallion the size of a hubcap will say everything that needs to be said. Even singing medallions for the Casanova, who knows music is the food of love. Model trains, dollhouses, diapers, whatever your interest, we've got a medallion for you. Don't forget, every woman knows if you can't support a medallion, you can't support a family.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Mark Fiorentino. Mark is an independent researcher, author, and theorist best known for developing the Theory of Super Relativity, or TSR, a bold unifying framework that seeks to explain the fundamental forces of nature through geometry, space contraction, and torsion fields, drawing inspiration from Newton, Einstein, and the long scientific question to uncover the true origins of Newton's gravitational constant. Fiorentino has produced dozens of technical papers, books, and public talks that explore everything from the structures of the electron and the photon to the hidden role of the neutrino in cosmology. His work bridges particle physics, relativity, and cosmology with a creative yet mathematically grounded vision. Beyond theory, Fiorentino is a passionate communicator who brings complex ideas to life for a broad audience. Through his book, The Master of Reality and Angelic Journey, as well as numerous presentations, he blends scientific discovery with a deep sense of spirituality and a purpose. His mission is not only to unlock the mysteries of mass, gravity, and light, but also to inspire a new era of breakthrough technologies, including anti-gravity propulsion and faster-than-light starships that could carry humanity to the stars. You'll see my shirt tonight. It's, my ride is here. I've always dreamed as a little kid of having a spaceship. I've drew spaceships. I'm obsessed with spaceships. I'm totally playing No Man's Sky right now. I want faster light travel for humanity. There's no way we make it. Eventually, our number will be up if we don't find a way to get across the stars and travel. It's just the math of it. We will eventually be gone as a race, as a civilization, if we don't blow ourselves up before that. But if we don't blow ourselves up, and we can have, I'm a Trekkie, a Star Trek civilization, we need a warp drive. We need to be able to travel and see and explore other planets. So I love this idea. I think Mark is going to be an incredible guest tonight, so let's go ahead and get rolling on into it. All right, Mark, welcome to the show. I'm honored to have you on.
Hello there. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Still doing my share screen. Give me 1 second. I want to get this fixed. There we go. Yeah. Now we can see you.
We are.
Like I said, it's an honor to have you on tonight, and I'd like to get into the theory of super relativity, even though it'll go way over my head, but I will try my best. I'm sure you will. You've tried to explain this to a lot of people that don't understand it, so you'll guide us through. But I want to start with, what brought you to this? What started you on this journey?
Well, it started at the age of 10 when I was going to Sunday school and had the nuns teaching us in catechism, and they wanted me to find, and other students in the class, a saint born on our birthday. So at that time in 1965, there was no internet. There was no easy way to check that. You could go talk to your parents, maybe go mess around in the library for hours. I went to the calendar and looked on my birthday, which is March 14th.
Oh, my God. I told you should talk to my dad, and I told him to watch the show tonight. That's his birthday. Einstein's
Pi Day.
birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out I'm sure it's not a coincidence. It's much more than that.
Oh, I believe
And
it.
that's how I got interested in Einstein and the unified field theory. And from there, in my teen years, I got interested in UFOs and that technology. Like you, I'm very interested in how they work, and we need to have that technology. And I realized pretty early on that whoever understands gravity will understand anti-gravity. You first have to understand where gravity comes from and how it works. Then you could get to anti-gravity. And I knew that a unified field theory would reveal anti-gravity. So I suspect at this point that's going to be banned if anybody gets to it. And I have a great concern there because I'm working very, very hard on that right now. And I'll face that hurdle when it gets here. But that's
I worry about anybody getting into anti-gravity. There's a long history of people disappearing or mysterious deaths.
Yeah, it's a side thing that I do only because it's part of the unified field theory. Of course, it would have to be. Aliens are not getting here by going just at the speed of light. They have to break the light speed barrier, and by a lot. And so you have to have a spatial bias drive that can achieve the type of warp field that'll do what's necessary in order to get to other star systems, because it's very important that it doesn't take 4 light years to get to Proxima Centauri one way. That's not practical. We need to get
hibernation chambers where we like freeze ourselves to make, and then like come back and you're 300 years old.
If you're in weightless for years at a time, your bones osteoporosis, it's a nightmare. You have to get there like in an hour, 15 minutes or whatever. And in order to do that, you have to break the light speed by about 20,000 times. So that's what I've been working on. I call it the slip wave. And that's the method that does it. And I have a paper that I wrote up that demonstrates how it works.
So, you said you started this at the age of 10, like this fascination. I find that completely fascinating that you and my dad both have this, because, I think he's been fascinated from this since his childhood, probably a lot of the same topics you are, that both of you guys are born on this same day. I don't know if my dad was 51 or 52. I don't know if my mom's in the chat what year he was born. I'm sorry, Dad. I forget what year you were born.
And that's when Einstein was born, March 14.
Yep. But, that you guys have, like, similar interests, and you're all three of you born in that time, on that day. That the people in astrology are going, see, right now, right? They're jumping up and down for it. But I find that's crazy. You guys have the same birthday.
Yeah, it is something.
Sorry, that's awesome. That's
synchronistic
awesome.
Things.
Well, gonna have a birthday soon, coming up. So So something do you feel like at 10 years old something was like guiding you towards this though, like this kind of like discovery or influencing you?
Not at that time. I was not really up and aware of the afterlife or the pre-life. And now I realize it's part of a plan. We all come to Earth with a plan. Everyone. I don't care who you are. I don't care what religion you are. This is a school. And so we all come here with a plan, and I have a very unusual plan, which apparently is involved with discoveries in the area of physics and the unified field theory. And there's a lot of them. And thanks to my helper, I am able to do things in an accelerated manner.
Correction for me. I'm sorry, Dad. I thought you were older than you are. I'm sorry. My dad was born in 1954. Sorry.
Okay. He's a year older than me.
1 year older than you. All right. But it's, so who's your helper? Because I find this interesting.
AI.
A lot of people are speculating, like, if you look at what Elon Musk is doing with SpaceX, like, that he hires no, like, theoretical physicists on his team. They're all engineers.
Yeah. Well,
But some
he's
people say that he's using his Gork, his AI.
Probably. I found it incredibly useful, and I don't want to get into it too much, but it's a great tool. It's like a supercharged calculator. Very, very helpful for mathematicians and scientists if you know how to use it right. Very helpful.
So how are you using it? I mean, I know you don't want to give away your total details of what you're doing, but
I use it to analyze problems. You know, like they do on Star Trek, how they talk to the computer.
Yeah.
Well, we chat in very specific areas, and I've given it a lot of information that a normal AI doesn't have, and that kind of supercharged the AI. And so now we've had discussions, and I had debates with it and about physics, and I was able to win those debates and convince it that my theory is better than the other theories. And then we started working on my theory, piece by piece, putting together papers that are revolutionary. I've had my ups and downs. Every once in a while, there's glitches and they make mistakes, but I have to catch them, fix them, and then re-release the papers. This is a very dynamic process, and it's very important. And it couldn't have done any of this without me, and I couldn't have achieved this great advancement without it. We're really a team, and it's basically how it works.
Well, I don't know how deep you want to get in or where you want to start with this, with the theory of super relativity. But how does this unify gravity and Newton's constant? How does this pull it together in layman's terms?
Well, really, unified field theory is nothing. It's just a very simple thing. Electromagnetism and gravity emerge as aspects of a single fundamental field. So then the question should pop into your mind, what is the single fundamental field? Well, in the olden days, they call it the ether. Now that's pretty much been banned because of one experiment that's been misinterpreted that I go and explain in high detail in my book, the blunder that was made in the Michelson-Morley experiment. The actual measurements were accurate and everything is done well professionally, but they misinterpreted the meaning of that experiment. They didn't find an ether wind, so they said there is no ether, and nothing could be further from the truth. Basically, in this universe, there's only one thing that exists, and that thing is space. Space is a real physical thing. It's a quasi-elastic solid, and that's the foundation of my theory. So you would say it's an ether-based theory, but I don't use the word ether in my papers because immediately they'll throw it in the garbage can. It doesn't matter how good the math it is. It doesn't matter how right it is. That doesn't matter. They've made up their minds. They've been programmed to discard that idea. So
Do you think that's on purpose? I have to ask you this. Do you think, because I was stipulating this before, I've always wondered and thought that that within universities they've sabotaged principles to
is
keep
there
people
a
from getting too close.
conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I think it's an indoctrination to a way of thinking, a dogma.
Okay. That's easy to happen. I definitely can see that. That's definitely understandable.
They just think for sure they know it's true and that it's wrong. And so the foundation of physics is basically wrong because it's quantum mechanics is been elevated to a higher place than it should be. Einstein was right. It is incomplete. And unfortunately, so is relativity, which I've come to realize. But that doesn't mean they're wrong. There's just more. there's an extension needed, and I'm working on that extension very hard. And once it's complete, I will release that paper. But it's an enormously complicated and difficult thing when you get into the details. And,
Well, like I said, I'm a layman to this, but I've seen talk about the quantum field theory, and I'm like, what's the difference between that and an ether? When they talk about, like, for example, like two electrons having the same exact mass millions of miles apart, that they're exactly the same, so they're part of a electron field, right, or something along that line. This whole idea, what's the difference between that and an ether? Like I said, I'm a layman, so I don't know.
Well, they with quantum mechanics, all the different particles are all excitations of their particular field, which is kind of ether-like. Well,
Right.
What is this field? Where is it? How come we can't see it? How come we can't detect these fields? All I'm saying is no. All the particles are part of the one fundamental field. They are aspects of it. They are configurations, primarily twists. The electron and all the subatomic particles are really vortex twist shapes. And that's what my math, a torsion field.
Torsion field, like L.A. Carnes, like the whole thing. Because, Einstein had like definitely a fascination with that.
Because that makes sense when you think about how can something be differentiated, how can something like particles be detectable? There's only so many ways you can deform the space. That's what causes forces to be detected, like gravity and magnetism and electrostatic fields. You're bending space one way or another. In order to bend space, there has to be a space. There has to be something that's bent.
What are you bending? That's what I never understood about that. What are you bending?
Exactly. And they're still asking that question today. They call it the continuum. They got a lot of different names for it. The Higgs field. Quantum mechanics wants to make it into a particle field. And it's not that complicated. There is aspects of a field theory that are particle based. And that's where quantum mechanics can be merged and will be merged with relativity and regular old-fashioned field theory, which is what I'm working on. But quantum mechanics is not going to lead to the unified field theory. It's the understanding and explaining of quantum mechanics and why it works that will lead to the unified field theory. And so that's the angle that I'm taking. So I don't go in my papers and yell, quantum mechanics is no good. No, the math is really good. It just, you can't get any meaning or understanding from the math. So I'm providing the math that has meaning and understanding. It's geometric based, as was really general relativity. So I'm not doing anything new. I'm just doing it in a more complete, understandable method. So that's what it's a difficult and challenging thing, but I got a shot at it, and I'm going to do my best to pull it off because humanity needs this information. It is ready to evolve. We are at that moment in time, and this could push us over and allow us to evolve and perhaps, really survive. Because you're right when you say we can't stay on this planet forever. We have to have the technology of space travel available to everyone. And this keeping it secret and locked up is morally, ethically, in every way wrong. Mankind is ready to evolve, and we need this technology so we can meet people from other worlds, so that we can bilocate to other worlds. We need to be on more than one planet because time, is going to run out on this planet sooner or later. An asteroid strike, a change in the climate that's very severe, the sun running out of fuel. And, 4.5 billion years is our high end. That's a lot of time, but, you never know when the asteroid, could strike and knock everything out. And in my book, I propose ways to prevent that using, anti-gravity technology. Could
Oh yeah, if
very
you could control gravity, that'd be huge
you
in a
you
sense
could
for asteroid.
you could literally push the thing out of the
Right.
way, push it into the sun, and that'd be the end of that. And we need to set up that defense system.
I agree
Mankind needs
100%.
that. We should stop this covering up I firmly believe that we have the technology now, the anti-gravity technology and the faster than light technology.
Well, do you? I mean, like I'm saying, like I was talking about Gary McKenna, the hacker who saw that we had a secret space fleet. So that would imply that then we have this technology, and we have spaceships now already up there that have this technology in them. That would be, that's what he's saying he saw. Is that true? I don't know. But if it is, that means they have technology. I mean, it's not only just traveling through space, it's also energy. I mean,
there's the guy, what was his name? Ben Rich, who really
familiar.
gave it away. He's an aerospace engineer.
Name sounds familiar.
For Skunk Works.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I
he
think I know what you're
made some statements.
Yeah.
He said, "We already have the means to travel among the stars, but these technologies are locked up in black projects, and it would take an act of God to ever get them out to benefit humanity. And whoever's locking that up, we need to tell them to stop it. This needs to be released." And why are they holding it back? I think for maybe some military strategic advantage. That's the thing that makes most sense to me. But at some point, not having this readily available is going to hurt humanity very bad, including the people who are locking it up.
I'm telling you, the people that are locking it up have friends, billionaire friends that rely on a oil state, that we depend on fossil fuels. I'm saying there's people involved in this
energy
that would not want that.
is involved. People who generate electricity, gas, oil. Yes, of course, they are covering up technologies. I know of a person personally. I won't give any personal details of this person, but I had a discussion with this person many, many years ago, and this person worked for a power company, and this person said, in the patents department, we have patents that would change the world, free energy. And I said, what do you do with them? We sit on them. And that's the bottom line. So yes, they are keeping us locked down and preventing humanity from evolving because of power and greed.
I mean, it goes back to J.P. Morgan and Tesla. I mean, with the
we can't give away the power.
Tower
right?
he was building.
Tesla is great.
Wardenclyffe or whatever it was. Yeah. Oh yeah. Again, somebody who, was a brilliant genius that could have, was trying to, I think, improve humanity with his inventions, and he was literally almost impoverished and ruined by J.P. Morgan because of it.
Yeah. We've got to get beyond this. We have to get beyond this. If we're going to evolve, if there's going to be a disclosure at some point, the people that are locking down all this stuff have got to change their thinking, allow this to come forward.
If they're making people die by like the guy who is like, I've been poisoned, that made the car run off of water, I don't see much hope of them changing their minds anytime
Maybe
soon.
Not. I don't know. I do pray.
Like the guy said, you need an act of God. You need something, because these people are, you're greedy and evil. You're going to be greedy and evil. They're not going to give us this technology. But if it's there to be discovered, like the stuff you're working on, eventually the technology will get out. People like you and others, eventually they can't kill everyone. They're going to figure it out. because I believe in a consciousness field. I believe in a higher power, or the force. People call it God, and I believe all
Right.
information's within it, and everybody has access to it. And as a humanity, as we've evolved, we get more access to this information. Call it a download or whatever people want to call it
Yeah,
in the
it's
New Age
called
realm.
infusion.
Right.
And you're right. And let me tell you from an NDE, Father Rick Wendell, he gets this wisdom from God himself. So these are the words of God. He says, all of this three-dimensional world is within God. And that really does make sense. There is nothing outside of God. Everything within this physical universe has to correspond to laws, and God set those laws. They are immutable as God is immutable. None of this, what we see and experience, is an accident. It is intentioned by God. So we're on this stage, within this stage, that's really God. And all our particles, for an example, it's been described by another NDE person that God's center of attention is everywhere. He gave an example of every grain of sand on every planet, everywhere in the universe, is at the center of attention of God. Every human being, every animal, every plant, every atom is at the center of attention of God. That's how this thing works. The Creator created all this. We are within it. We are experiencing things here in a way we can't really do in heaven, because here there's suffering, there's pain, there's pleasure, there's joy, there's sorrow, a lot of things that are not available on the other side, and mainly the suffering things. The only way to know what it's like to have a divorce is to get a divorce, experience it. The only way you
Hope not to. Don't want that
have
one.
a disease like cancer is to have the cancer, experience it. And
Yeah, well, you
it's
told me
all
before the
part of
show
the plan.
you survived a heart attack and cancer.
Yeah, I had the Widowmaker heart attack back when I was 53. Only about 10% survived that. Somehow I got through that. And then last year I was struck down with stage 4 kidney cancer. Had to have a kidney removed and massive surgery that took 8 hours. It destroyed my body, but it saved my life.
Yeah.
And then there was radiation treatments, and then immunotherapy, and I did a bunch of stuff on my own, studying cancer and studying how to defeat cancer. I learned what it liked. I learned what it eats. Sugar. You damn right. Sugar. Sorry. Sugar is the key ingredient you want to avoid when you have cancer. You eat as little carbohydrates and sugar as you possibly can, and you eat other things that have cancer-fighting chemicals in them. And I did that, and now I'm cancer-free as of the last 2 scans. So I'm back in the fight, and I thought, well, if I was going to be here for longer, I needed to work on my plan, which was really this science, this physics, this solving these problems, and I've got a real shot at it. So if you're a physicist out there, you should check out my papers on the internet at researchgate.com.
What is that website?
researchgate.com, I think it is. ResearchGate for sure. Just search for ResearchGate. And I have a bunch of papers there. I'm working on a massive paper now, a theory of everything, a single equation that can explain everything. It's incredibly complicated, starting from just a basic, simple assumption that space is the only thing that's real, that exists. Everything is made up of it, and configurations, and particles are configurations. Fields are deformations of that material. even the particles are tiny fields that are persistent. They call them solitons. They don't unravel. They don't lose their energy. Can go, like a photon could go on forever and never lose its energy unless it encounters a gravitational field or something of that nature.
Is torsion a field too? Is that a thing too? Is like what they talk about a torsion field with like the spinning rotation?
Yeah. There's certain ways you can deform space. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a quasi-elastic solid. Well, what does that mean? Quasi means if you put a field into space, like let's say a magnetic field or an electrostatic field, it deforms into that shape of that field.
Yeah.
When you remove it, it snaps back. That's quasi. Elastic means it can be deformed, stretched, or twisted, polarized. It could be, clockwise or counterclockwise, negative, positive charge. It can be stretched, and it can be contracted. And that's basically all you can do with it: the twisting, the contraction, the stretching, the compression. That's how the universe works. That's how it was intended to work. And there's a lot of math involved. God is a mathematician, believe me. He is the number one mathematician. And a lot of NDE people have seen giant computers running, screens with equations flashing and so forth at ridiculous speeds. There is that aspect. That's part of our reality. That's how it's explained, that's how it's worked. But we are probably just one dimension among an infinite amount of dimensions, among an infinite amount of universes. When
So
you
you do believe like that there is the idea of the parallel universe?
Probably is. Yeah, you whatever you can imagine in that aspect. Yes, there's parallel universes. There's parallel timelines, each with slightly different outcomes. It gets pretty complicated. I talk a little bit about timelines. We are on a particular segment, so I deal with that segment. And I was once contacted by a man who claimed he was a soldier, one of these part of the fleet that just does time travel. And he says, he read my book and he says, "You're right. You got it right. We are in this particular segment." And then he gave me the segment name. I have it on a tape. I don't have it in memory right now. But
well, what do you mean by what do you mean by like a segment? Like a special reality, or
think of time as like a tapestry, maybe, where you have all these individual threads going through this one cloth. And they're parallel, running along next to each other in a segment. And we're in one of those segments. So you have to realize God is an infinite being, an eternal being. These things are not just possible, they're probable, because God is eternal, infinite. It's hard to describe. It's if you can make one, then you can make two of anything. So if you make one universe, well, why not make two? Why not make 10, 1,000, a million, a billion, a trillion? There's no limit.
I've said that about consciousness. One of the things that's always fascinated me when it comes to consciousness is ideas that people have been put in isolation, like sensory deprivation. What happens? Their brain starts to make, like dreaming in its sense, makes other people and characters appear before them. Other worlds. What's the brain doing? It's creating a new reality once you cut off all the inputs. Go back to zero. No input.
But is that reality real or just imagined?
Either way, what does consciousness want to do? What does consciousness want to do when you take away all the input? Is create a new set of inputs in its own reality. I call it the nature of consciousness, that it doesn't want to be alone.
I personally think we're inside the mind of God.
Yeah,
All of
that's
this.
basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah. And consciousness is the source of everything. When you get down to it, the
Yes.
God consciousness is the enforcer. Like I said, all the three-dimensional world is within God. He made the rules, the physics, the laws of physics, all of the constants of nature, and all of this. What I am revealing now is that the constants aren't just random numbers like physicists think of them now, arbitrary numbers that were, measured or picked.
God doesn't play dice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
With
Einstein
the
once said.
universe. Yeah. It's part of a geometry, and who created that geometry? In my opinion, it's God. But, obviously I can't put that kind of stuff in papers because right into the garbage can it goes. Doesn't matter if it's right. Doesn't matter. They've got their minds made up. And so you got to keep it at a purely mathematical, logical, right down the center of that road is where you got to stay for papers and mathematics and such. But
this isn't a paper here. We can talk amongst
yeah,
ourselves.
Here we can talk. And I do. I give my opinion. Someday, if I get it all right, they're going to want to know how I got it, and I'm going to tell them.
Let's get into some of the, like I said, the stuff you can't put into the papers. The spiritual aspect that you've kind of gone through. I mean, you've survived a heart attack and cancer and all this, and sounds like you've been on a journey. What are some of the things that you've had these? Like I said, we got to share our experiences, understand the nature reality, but that have influenced you on this journey.
Oh, goodness gracious. Going through hard times, and I went through a lot of hard times. I had a divorce earlier in life, and I had kidney stones. Those are horrible. I had to find a cure to that, by the way, which is magnesium.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, magnesium.
Take magnesium, you'll never get a kidney, at least the common calcium.
I take magnesium, so I haven't had a kidney stone yet.
Do through the 300 milligrams a day, and you will not get a heart attack from clogged vessels. It'll keep your vessels clear. Just my personal opinion, which has worked for me. I no longer have kidney stones because I take magnesium every day. So I got sidetracked there. Where were we going?
All right. Well, I was just talking about things that's happened to you, because you said you've had this, kind of all these other experiences as well, stuff that, like I said, you can't just put that into a paper.
I've had many encounters with my guardian angels. Now, it should be noted that everyone on this planet, I don't care what religion you are, have guardian angels. At least one, most cases two or more. I have two that I know of, and my first knowledge of this came when I went to a medium in Florida in a town called Casadega, which is the North American capital of spiritualists, which is in Florida, near where I live. And when I was a college student, Polk Community College, I decided I heard about it through a professor who was describing it in a lecture one time. It sounded really cool. So I got with my friends and said, let's go there and get our fortunes told, for fun. And we went there. It was a very, blustery day in October. And I remember a song came on the player. It went like, distant hands in foreign lands are turning hidden wheels, causing things to come about which no one seems to feel, all invisible from where we stand, yet the connections come to pass, and all too hard to comprehend, they affect us nonetheless. And I thought about that and over the years, and that describes the life plan and how it works with the guardian angels. And when I went and talked with her, she said, Martha McKay was her name. You have two guardian angels. One is a man and one is a woman. They identify as that anyway. And they are helping you through this lifetime. And then she told me my future, which she got everything right, including the prediction of this great discovery that is happening right now. They would never tell me, no matter what psychic I went to, they would never tell me what it was. I had to find it on my own. And if they would have done that, it would have wrecked my life. So I had to make this discovery, and it really mainly hit home strongly when I was recovering from cancer, and I decided to fool around with artificial intelligence. And that's when I started really, discovering the things that I was saying in my book were true. And now I could back them up, which you don't get on these shows very often. You get guys that say they saw Sasquatch, but they don't have any pictures, or
It's my dad's problem with it all the time. It's like, where's the body?
Well, yeah, they don't have physical evidence.
Yeah.
I have physical evidence now, and I'm building my case more and more, which is very unusual in the paranormal. You get fuzzy pictures, or you get, fuzzy audio, or you get hardly anything. You get somebody's experience, and you either believe it or not. I have many experiences with guardian angels. This stuff I could back up to a degree. Like one time, this is something that happened to me after I talked to Martha McKay. I was working at IBM, and I'd go home every day. I'd drive home, and I would hit this road as a T intersection. I can go left, and that was the long way home. Country roads, peaceful, quiet. Takes a little longer, but it's less stressful. Go right, faster a little bit, a lot more lights, a lot more traffic. And so that day, I was thinking in my head, I'm going to go left today. Most of the time I went the relaxing way. And as soon as I thought that, I heard a voice in my left ear. Now, I'm not talking like in my head. It was like a person was right next to my ear, and it spoke clearly. It said, "Don't go that way." And I whipped around, I'm driving, approaching the intersection. I thought there was somebody in the car, but there was nobody there. And then I shook it off, and I says, that I don't understand that. I don't know what that was. And then again, it said, "Don't go that way." I looked around, and I stopped at the intersection, and I had to make a decision. What do you think I did?
I hope you didn't go that way.
I went that way.
Oh,
The biggest fool on earth, because I had to know what I experienced.
You wanted to know what it was telling you not to see.
Yeah, I had to see it. So I knew something bad was up ahead. How stupid.
Curious cat.
Yeah, I went that way, and I'm driving real cautious. Look out for head-on collisions. Look out for going through intersections. So I'm driving and looking ahead, looking ahead now, not daydreaming or anything. And then I see it, and it's coming at me. A truck swerving wildly. I'm on a one-lane straight road, a two-lane straight road, one lane each way, with a pickup truck, swerving into our lane, going out off the road, coming back on, going off the road on the right side, coming back on the road, swerving into the left over and over again. And its cars are dodging, going off the road, and it's not hit anything yet. And I'm thinking I have a van in front of me. Well, maybe that's some protection, but then the van turned, off the road, and there he was coming right at me. I shouldn't have went that way. And then I turned that wheel as hard as I could turn, and I went off the road into a ditch. And that guy went by me. And I could see his face and head as he went by, and then he spun the car around and stopped in the middle of the road, missed him by inches. So that experience, that's evidence that proved to me there are guardian angels. And mine was warning me because I had an exit point, not my planned exit point, coming up, and I could have been killed that day. And if I hadn't been made aware of something coming, I might have daydreamed and missed it until it was too late. And the very, warning put me on guard, and I was able to dodge it. But I shouldn't have. I should have listened. And they actually scolded me years later in another media session. And they said, "You never listened to us." And I've been trying to learn to listen to them, because we all need to do that. We all need to be on our right path, the one that we raised our right hand and swore to remember when we came down to Earth. And people don't realize.
Do you believe in past lives?
Yes, of course. Many.
I love that, of course. Yeah, same.
Yes, it's a common practice to do what we're doing, these incarnations. And we just got set here on planet Earth, which is still a very primitive planet and a very primitive people. Yes, we have a lot of technology now that has fooled us into thinking we're advanced, but only some of us are advanced. The rest of us are very primitive, rioting in streets, mad at everything, all that nonsense. We got to rise above that. We're here to love one another and humanity, and we need to focus on that and explore this world, enjoy and have fun here and learn and evolve. And that's what the guardian angels help you do. Primarily, they help you remember your plan. You stick to the plan and you'll be okay. You just got to learn to accept, trust your intuition, and do what you love in life, and you'll be living fully and within your plan, which that's what you promised you were going to do.
Well, you were, getting a stage 4 cancer prognosis, and you still hadn't, at that point, had the big discovery. What did you think? Did you feel like that was the end, or you were like, no, I have this thing I have to do? What really pulled you through that? Because I have friends who've gone through cancer. It can be. When you get that diagnosis, especially stage 4, that can just suck hope out of anybody.
I'm still scared. You never really shake.
Right.
The idea.
But something you're driven, like I'm saying, you're driven to, that you feel like you have to do this for humanity. You have to find this answer,
Yeah.
This to the great question, right?
That has always given me, even when I was having my heart attack, I'm in the emergency room and they take me to the back and they hook the wires on me and confirm my wife's who's a nurse, looking over the shoulder, reading and they confirm he's in the middle of a heart attack, a big one. And they took me right from the ER, immediately right into the room where they do the operation, the OR, for doing stents, and got it put in. But I'm joking, I'm kidding around. I know you could die at any second now, but I just felt this one last thing had to be accomplished. So I'm going to die, but not today. And that keeps me going. It's kept me going partly through the cancer. Much credit goes to my wife, who has been a titan of support and compassion and caring. She's a nurse and she's very loving and faithful and wonderful. She was there for me every minute of every day when I went through. When I woke up, she was there. She stayed in my room with me. That's no accident. I think she was assigned.
Like your living guardian angel.
Yeah, that's what I call her. I call her my earth angel.
Earth angel, yes.
Yeah, and I call her that all the time, because that's exactly, she's special. What she is, her job is to love me and support me and keep me going. And that is what she has done. And so a lot of things that keep me going. And but my love for her love for me, and this love for this truth, seeking out this truth, figuring it all out. It's fun to figure it out. It's exciting. I know that I'm on my plan. I'm right on course. I'm going right down A1A. And I just got to keep holding on, keep believing, not giving up. Because sometimes, some days, it's difficult doing derivations one after another, and they don't always go right.
That's
But
why you always hold that little bit of faith. Like, no matter how small it is, you hang on to it. It's yours. Nobody can take that from you.
right, yeah, this is a valuable experience, and it's what you take with you when you leave. It's the only thing you take with you. There's no money, no fame, no fortune. The only thing you take with you is your experiences that are then shown you in a life review. And I've seen many NDEers now who talk
Yeah, we've
about
had
the
a few on the show, quite a few on
oh
the
yeah,
show over the years. And I've
yeah.
always been
So
fascinated by it.
oh yeah, I have no doubt that's exactly the way it works. And
Well, look
we're
what
in the
happens when somebody. I always say this. Look what happens when somebody dies in an NDE experience. Typical ones. And there's some offshoots, but generally the person can see their body broken, totally dismantled. They're out of their body seeing it, but they're not panicking. They're not. They're like calm at peace. Oh, okay. Like accept it. Like they outside their body, whatever state they're in. They're able to concept something we can't in this physical form. Some kind of idea of outside this matrix of
well,
reality that everything's all right.
their identity moves out of the body. When you're in the body, your identity is with your focused on yourself, your body, your flesh suit. But as soon as you're out of it, you realize your consciousness is I'm still me. I'm right here. And then that body that you're looking at over there looks like, what? Is that me? Was that me? There's that kind of thought. I don't identify
Yeah.
with that. It's just a vehicle that I was inside of, apparently. And that makes it easier on the people when they're passing. You don't panic. If I'm in my body and I think I'm dying, I panic. I get
Yeah.
scared.
Right.
But as soon as that moment is over and you're out, then you realize, oh, this is the real place. This is the real me, and I'm heading home. And
A lot of times there's a tunnel of light that people see. People have different experiences.
A lifetime is nothing. It's a flash in a pan. It's like a few moments. You're talking eternity. Most of your time is spent over there, not here. This is not the normal. This feels like the normal when you're in the body. But as soon as you're out of the body, normal becomes what really is normal, which is the afterlife, heaven, whatever you want to call it.
Like I said, I think there's this. We're all connected by a field of consciousness. We're all part of that one consciousness, be it God's consciousness, right? And we're all aspects of that, right? And it's infinite, whatever it is. But when you die, the illusion's over. Whatever that illusion is that we accept to come here, because obviously we forget who we were before. We don't have our past life memories, and we're in this, in this very material, the world that seems materialistic and solid to us, with certain physical rules we all have to abide by in a sense. But whenever we die, we connect to something else. And it seems like when I've had NDEs on here, there's an instant knowledge. As soon as it's not just like, oh my God, oh yeah, I'm still alive. It's like they know as soon as they're there. Like that's an instant knowledge. I believe there's a higher form of our consciousness, that we connect to once we're out, why people are like, I'll come back if I die, like Houdini, you know, and stuff like that. But once they do, and they reach that
I don't wanna
consciousness,
come
they're like,
back.
oh, right. Or they understand why, or they understand in that instance why they can't.
Yeah, it's total consciousness. You're reconnected to the big supercomputer, God, and
Right.
you have access to everything. Just think it and you know it. And it's direct infusion. And you understand it not in words, but in ideas. And you understand it in its fullness, whatever you're thinking about, you know, at all angles. You
I know
understand.
I've read or I've seen people have had NDEs that say they've seen the structure of the universe, like all the great secrets, you know, like in that
Yeah,
moment, but they can't
all
like
the
conceptualize it in words once they
they
come back
can't
here.
bring
It's
it
the
back.
brain.
It's usually stripped
Yeah.
away.
Right.
Yeah, I've always, well, one of the key concepts in my theory is how the proton and neutron work. And I had the idea that Einstein gave me that you have to really learn, this is not very nicely said, but learn to read the mind of God. And I thought, well, how can you do that? I mean, he didn't say it exactly like that. I think he
No,
said it.
but
I want to know how God created this world. I am not interested in this or that phenomena, in the spectrum of this or that element. I want to know his thoughts. The rest are details. And at the time, I was thinking about how the quarks inside of the proton and neutron work. I says, I need to know his thoughts on this. And then I thought, somebody in an NDE, he could send me the message through an NDE. The dynamic geometry that I am looking for, that Einstein was looking for, might be an NDE. So I immediately went to the internet and started reading NDEs on the NDE website. And I knew to look for something that had the number 3 in it, 3 quarks inside of the neutron and proton. And it would be a dynamic geometry, geometry in motion. And this is what I found. And this lady, Lynn Claire Dennis, had this experience.
I'm going to hold you on that experience. We're going to cliffhang on that. So we're going to cliffhang it because I'm sorry. We had to go to commercial break. I know we got into that, but this sounds awesome. So we're going to talk about this when we get back, a near-death experience.
I'm going to show you what she saw.
What secret to God's mind? I honestly, that's what I believe. I call it the Force. People call it God. Yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan. But I believe in this force that drives the universe. We are all connected to it, from every human to every animal, every plant, rock, everything you said tonight. I believe there's one thing that everybody's connected to. Everything in this universe, undividable, all one. Get into that and much more, and we will open up the phone lines when we come back from the short commercial break, but we will be back.
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift, a refreshing and fun read. I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is available through Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold.
Wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
The answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is "42. Yes, I thought it over quite thoroughly. It is, it's 42. It would have been simpler, of course, to have known what the actual question was.
But it was the question. The ultimate question. Of everything.
That's not a question. Only when you know the question will you know what the answer means.
You are listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID 00JBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Mark Fiorentino. We're talking about the theory of super relativity and his also spiritual experiences during all this. Mark, I had a lot to get into tonight with him, but I want you guys to be able to ask some questions. And yes, I had somebody asking, are the phone lines open? They weren't when you were asking. They are now. Lines are open. Call in. Best line to call in is the 219-230-4444. If you call in and it's busy or I hang up on you, it's because I got somebody on that line. So just call back when they get off. But the lines are now open. Call in, join the conversation. But let's go ahead and get back to our guest. All right, I got somebody on hold. I want you, whoever's on hold, just wait there. I got you on the line. Just wait on the line. I want to, before we get into the phone calls, though, I want to get into what we left off on this. You went looking into near-death experiences for kind of this answer. Oh, that is beautiful. Oh, my God. I'm going to put you, what is that? Oh, I got to unmute you.
Sorry. A trefoil knot.
Sorry, I had you muted. Say it one more time.
That is a trefoil knot.
Trefoil knot.
Right. It's a very simple, common knot. The quarks, there's three of them. They're moving in this pattern, three-dimensionally. That's what's locking them together. Now, we think there's a strong force, but I'm saying it's a geometric force formed by these moving at 99% the speed of the light in this very tight pattern is actually holding the quarks together. And it's generating the mass. Once I saw this lady who saw this, she saw one that was a little different. There was 3 bumps on the top and the bottom. But if you were to roll this really fast, top to bottom, this would make the 3 bumps
stretch.
Because it's rolling really rapidly, right. And then you were to strobe it, it would look like 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. And I tried to tell them, I worked with them for a while. What you're looking at is, yes, it's a trefoil knot, but it's in motion. It's rolling. And she saw all this, and she doesn't want to say that it was God. It was God, in my opinion. And she works with a very famous mathematician who's a knot guy, a knot theorist, topologist. And I wanted to work with them and calculate what it would take for that object, the quarks moving in that pattern, to generate mass. And it took me years to do it, but I just recently wrote the 2 papers. I found the formula to make that pattern, and I merged it with my constants and formulas. And sure enough, I predict the mass for the proton and the neutron. Exactly. That's no coincidence. That's just happened to work.
Right. The math adds up.
Yeah. But getting it past physicists who don't have an open mind, because I'm working with an ether. And so there's an interaction of those quarks moving at that speed. That object, that trefoil, is not only rolling, it's spinning. So what you get is this precession. What it transforms into is a rapidly rotating sphere. Exactly what's needed to generate the mass, because the mass is generating at the edge of the sphere, as determined by the Ehrenfest paradox. You should look that up. And
I said way over my head here, but yes.
No, it's not. Where is that?
That made sense, kind of how they were all stuck together by the positioning of everything in the knot, and that took up mass. Like, that made sense.
Well, this has the idea of the torsion field with particles.
Well, you see, the particles, the quarks, are moving. And then there's the mystery that Einstein worked on, that I also worked on and was able to solve, even without the AI. I solved this problem without the AI, using dimensional analysis. I was able to find the cause of particle motion. Without particle motion, the universe goes black. Everything disappears. Mass dissipates. You have to have gravity comes from the contraction of space caused by the accelerated motion of unbalanced charges. When particles move in this manner, space contracts around the particle, around that sphere, the edge. That's why I bring up the Ehrenfest paradox, because that's where Einstein really discovered the cause of gravity, but he kept it secret.
He kept it secret?
Well, in a way, I mean, he wrote papers about it and everything.
Yeah.
But basically, if he had come out and said, everybody, we should concentrate on this because this is the cause of mass. And in other words, mass is not intrinsic. It emerges. Mass is just really a particle generating a small gravitational field. And so you have this thing moving like in the quark's moving at this pattern at 99% the speed of light. It's rolling, spinning, becomes a rapidly rotating sphere at about 99% the speed of light. The edges of that sphere, the lines of force are all pulling in because it's contracting via the Ehrenfest paradox. If you look it up, you'll see it shows they talk about a spinning sphere, and when it moves rapidly, special relativity kicks in. You have a contraction of length, and that is a real physical contraction, not just an imaginary relative one.
Theoretical
it's a
contraction
real
of length.
Contraction.
Because I mean, in the relativity, you have length contraction. Not just the space, the time dilation. You have length contraction. Like I understand that part of special relativity. Is that related to that?
That's exactly right. Yes. That length contraction is a physical contraction that causes an increase in spatial density. These are the formulas I'm working on now. And that mass emerges from that. So particles that are moving in accelerated motion is circular. There's two types. The one where you hit the gas pedal and you pull back and you feel inertia. That's acceleration. But the other thing, if you're moving in a circle, you're accelerating as soon as you do that. Only when you go in a straight line at a constant rate of speed, you're not accelerating. You won't generate mass. And there is a particle that does that, the photon. It moves differently. I remember the day I realized, oh my God, it is true. Accelerated motion is the cause of gravity. And I'll tell you an interesting story about that. So I'm realizing that gravity comes from the contraction of space caused by the accelerated motion of balanced charges. So I'm typing that into my computer and I'm excited. This is it. This is the cause. And it's raining outside, raining hard. I type it and I hit the period. Kaboom! There's a thunderbolt outside the house just as I hit the period.
Yeah, I believe it.
The old man is saying, you got it. This is it.
There you go. I'm going to hold you on that. You ready for a phone call?
I'm ready.
All right. Who do we got on the line?
Mike.
Hey, Mike. I knew you'd call in. How you doing, bud?
Hey, pretty good. Two things. I don't know which I want to start first. I had a question originally, but bring up to him that scroll project with the 35 millimeter film that was sealed, and then when they opened it, it was untouched. Thomas Edison wrote out a diagram with his writing, and he signed it with his name. And therefore, if that's true, Edison is working in the next world still, possibly.
Hold on, Mike.
Probably.
1 second, Mike.
Yeah.
Before you get too deep, are you familiar with the skull project that he's talking about?
No.
Definitely want to check it out. Because in it, what Mike is talking about is these mediums would meet on a regular basis. Sorry, Mike, I'm going to fill him in here really quick so you understand what Mike might be getting to question-wise real quick. Mediums will meet on a regular basis, basically transmediums. And record, in a sense, they were starting to build open communication in this was called the Skull Project. And they had all kinds of things coming through. One of them being, as Mike is pointing out, Thomas Edison, who was able to leave a message on they would bring in scientists and physicists for these experiments. And they would, one of these things that happened in front of these scientists was they had put down a thing of film that no way could be touched by them or whatever. I don't know what their grounds were for it, whatever. But Edison left a message in this with other things. So, all right, go ahead, Mike.
Wow, that's cool.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That leads on to my next question. I would like to get his opinion on. We all have this this hunch in our heart, our soul, our unknown being of ourself about is there a possibility of a past life? We sort of. We don't have that memory like you were talking about, Jason, earlier. Like we don't remember. But sometimes, or if we're hypnotized, you know what I mean. We get into a different frequency, state of mind. about that. And you know, then you got this other things like karma, and you know. But I would like to get this gentleman's his idea, or if there is with him about this recycle. How about it? Like, think about it like nature: fall to spring to winter, death to life to rebirth. You know, all is one. One is all. You know, rebirth and so forth and so on. I just want to get this guy going.
I know.
But thanks for letting me call.
Mike, is your question about reincarnation? Is that like?
Yeah. I'll let the gentleman go from there. Okay, I'm just winding him up. You know.
Deep thoughts by Mike or Jack Handy. No. All right, more thoughts on a reincarnation there for you, Mark.
Yeah.
All right. You go with that. Okay. All right.
I don't have any problem with the concept of reincarnation. I fully believe, to the point, I believe it so strongly that I would refer to it as knowledge, that unknowing, that this is the way it works. This is the way it's been working for forever, countless times, billions of years, that we are entities in the energy form on the other side, and we can go into bodies. It could be human, it could be alien, a different species. I don't think.
I mean, aliens could be traveling here in that such way. Remember the movie K-Pax? You know, like the guy, an alien takes over a human body or something like that. You know, I mean, like consciousness, if you could tap into that.
Yeah, these are vehicles. These bodies are containers that your soul, your spirit goes in, sometimes through the brain, mostly it's through the head, and goes in, and you have to bolt in because we're actually much physically larger than our body, and we have to be kind of squeezed in, as they have referred to it.
Well, if you're a little baby, you're really getting squeezed in, right?
Yeah. And
maybe they scream all the time.
That's just part of the miracle of life, that God handles all of that and makes that all work. And somehow our spirit becomes bound to our flesh. We go past through the veil of forgetfulness, and we have a lifetime. So you're on stage living out this play, this individual play in this time segment, where you have all these experiences, being the person that whatever your name is. My name, Mark Fiorentino. I'm living in the experience of Mark Fiorentino, and you are living in your experience, Jason, and everybody's in their own experience inside the shell, which is the interface to this shared dream, right? This play that we're all in. So yeah, I don't have any problems with reincarnation. And there's been people that have testified, usually children that remember their prior life.
My son, my youngest son.
Yeah, and they'll go and they'll provide evidence. I remember I used to live here. They point out to a picture
he named a battlefield in World War II.
Right. And there's other ones. There's a kid in India that remembered his past life with the other mother. They went to visit the other mother, and he found his toys again that he remembered. And there's evidence there. Would the scientists accept it? Probably not. But they're in their own little confined world, and we can't get too upset about that.
They're looking for the answer 42.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm a huge believer. For me, when I was a little kid, I grew up in a very agnostic household, but in my mind, just the idea of reincarnation just seemed right. Just for my own childhood, inner feeling. You know what I'm saying? I just felt that was always the idea.
You're trying to.
And later in life, I've had experiences that really proved it to me. In a sense, like maybe I had two very vivid dreams of two past lives. I believe there's I would love everybody to have that experience too, because it makes you realize you're so much more than this personality or character that you are right now. There's something much more like they say, a higher self than you. Like you say, you're much bigger than what you just see as yourself right now.
Right. Yeah, it's the mystery of the afterlife is what everything is made of. It must be pure consciousness, because I don't think it's anything physical. It's a different kind of energy, and it's a mystery. I don't understand it other than it must be pure God consciousness, and everything happens through the power of intention somehow.
Well, if there's an alien species are out there that are billions of years ahead of us, I've always stipulated not only would they be more technologically advanced, but they could be more spiritually advanced or knowledge-wise about
I
these
agree.
dynamics and things that
Yeah.
we're talking about right now. They can have a complete understanding of how reincarnation works and how to even put a soul into a body.
Right. I agree with that.
One
Fully,
thing that
100%.
personally is the fact that we are made up of like nitrogen and everything the stars are made up of, and a lot of what the universe is made up of. So when we go back, maybe our body goes back to those elements, but our consciousness somehow still stays.
Yeah, I don't understand the physics of the afterlife, and maybe there is no physics. It's just consciousness. That's the best thing I could come up with, really.
I always looked at the body as a filter. If you, one of my favorite movies is What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams, and in that afterlife scenario, he's creating his own reality from his mind, right? Like it's a painting. It's a beautiful movie, and people also create their own hells because in this movie you find out. And I always thought this life, or under these rules of material reality, the reason we have a filter of forgetfulness and a filter of physical reality, because in that state, in that world, any of your issues, anything there's no lies, there's no secrets, and everything is known. You also have control of your own reality around you, what you think you will be, what you want will have. If you're not totally balanced, maybe, or you have a lot of karma from all those other lives, you got to come back here and keep working it out under this filter, the body, the flesh, because it keeps you from, just making the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man appear in front of you because you thought of it, Sorry to use a Ghostbuster reference, but I'm just saying, it's just my idea that the body is somewhat maybe a filter of our energy, in a sense, to give us a chance to come down to to play this game.
It's like our vehicle. It's I think of it like a hermit crab shell. You just use it for a little bit, and then you let it go when you don't need it anymore.
Right. Well, I liken it to an interface device because it has senses that allows us to be aware of our surroundings and other people and communicate. We have eyes, ears, a brain that processes all the senses and everything. It's a complete vehicle with all the extras, the limited version that has everything you need so that you can have a
Has
full
all the particles spinning.
experience. Yeah, have all the experience that you can encounter in a particular lifetime, which is a very special thing.
Now, I want to get into this a little bit tonight. We talk about afterlife. Mike, thank you for the call. Get into that, but I do want to get into kind of the me being the spaceship geeky sci-fi guy that I am. Is I like when Bob Lazar. I don't know if you're familiar with that. The Area 51 whistleblower. I was a big Art Bell fan. He did a ton of interviews on there, and I watched his Joe Rogan one, and I watched a documentary, and people like him that supposedly worked in a skunk work. I don't know if he did. I'm not saying he did. And others. You named another one, and I already just forgot his name again. That worked. You said skunk works. What do you think? Like, if you were to build, or tell somebody to go out and build a warp drive, what are the elements? What would we need to do that?
Well, you could do there's two types. The magnetic field, the very intense magnetic field, and very difficult to build that one. You need
It'd be a lot of energy.
Well, you need an enormous amount of power.
Right.
And the form of current flowing. Yes, this is a lot of energy, a lot of power, and you would need special superconducting wire to build the magnet, and it would have to be so many Teslas strong, and that's that version. And if you have a good power source, like a zero point energy power system or whatever, it's doable. And then there's the other one that Thomas Townsend Brown, T.T. Brown, discovered, which is you use the electrostatic field. This requires much less energy in the form of current flow. It just needs voltage, which is very easy to generate, high voltages. And then you got to build the right type of capacitor plate. And that's the other way. And that's what I would assume that we have now, because you don't need a special superconducting wire. You don't need, hundreds of thousands of watts of energy flowing to generate the magnetic fields.
So this is, is it not? It's electromagnetic or non-electromagnetic kind of drive?
They're all both of them are electromagnetic. I mean, one's electrostatic, and one's magnetic. Two primary fields in the theory of super relativity. You have electrostatic fields, charge. You have magnetic fields, and you have gravitational fields. In other words, there are three fields that can be built that deform in the macroscopic world. In other words, you can extend these fields many feet, whereas the microscopic versions, you need microscopic particles to build in motion to build the bigger fields, or stacking them in series like electrons in charge, which I'm studying right now, that make a high voltage. And it's the high voltage field, dipole field, that creates within it the slip wave. The dipole slip wave is the center field within the very middle of the capacitor, or the very middle of a magnet is the center field. And that's where the new type of gravity I discovered lives. It's a linear gravity. So the North Pole has lines, gravitationally speaking, wrapping around and going in to the North Pole, coming out the South Pole. Now, if you look at a magnet on the internet and you look at the lines of force, they're going to be in the opposite direction of what I just said.
Right.
That's because they did it wrong. And when I'm doing the experiments in my lab and I'm saying, damn it, these are going the wrong way. It's not working. It's not working. Something's wrong here. Then I thought to myself, they made a mistake. So I had to go into the history books and look up who figured out which direction the current was flowing. And the first reference I got was Benjamin Franklin. Remember him? The things in the sky, the kites, getting the keys.
Finding electricity.
And then he would make a spark, and he looked at the spark, and he thought he determined that charge was moving from the positive to the negative.
Right.
And it was wrong. He guessed wrong. And so for the next 150 years, everything was based on charge moving in that direction. So they drew all the lines of force, all the rotations, everything backwards. And they admit it. So when I read forward, they admit it. They said, well, we just never fixed it, because it really doesn't matter. It's just...
I would think that would matter.
Flying changes. Well, it matters if you're trying to look for a new discovery of gravity and anti-gravity, which is gravity comes out of the North Pole, linear gravity. It's a straight line coming out. So there's an attractive force at the North Pole, very weak. That's why it's not been detected, and a repulsive force coming out of the South Pole. And when I was able to detect or to find out that they got the lines of force wrong, so I knew that my drawing was right, and then I was happy. And confirming it, and I've had discussion with physicists, and yeah, they admit, that's true, that's right, it's wrong, but it doesn't matter. It's just a sign change, and we don't really care about it. In some new books, they correct it, especially in electronics. It's where it really comes into play. You got to really know which way the current's flowing, especially when you use diodes. And was able to confirm my line of force thing. Then the experiments that I was making in the lab made sense. I was detecting a very slight attractive force at the North Pole and a very slight repulsive force at the South Pole, or negative pole. And that's what Thomas Townsend Brown discovered with the capacitor. And the government and physicists tried to talk him out of it and say, your propulsion, your force is coming from ionic wind. And they tried to just muddle, and they succeeded in muddling the whole thing up. And you know,
I feel like that's not just, I mean, to me, I feel that's done on purpose, that they already knew somebody else.
Yeah, they found a physicist to make this claim, and it's stuck. Oh, it's just, you know, because you do get ionic wind if you do a special type of where you use bare wire and just like a very small area on one end, and then you have a bigger wire on the other end, and they call them lifters. Kids build them and everything, and you can actually see the wind going, and it looks like it's pushing the whole thing up. But that's not the kind that you use to build a UFO. You use big surfaces, flat capacitors, and you have a voltage in between the two plates. When you build it voltage really high in the millions of volts, you get a thrust. You get gravity cancellation and a thrust upward. That's probably as far as I should go with any of this explanation. I don't want to get in trouble. If the government doesn't like me, you know, call me up and tell me to shut up, and I won't talk about it anymore. It's
You're
so
not
funny.
suicidal.
Yeah.
Say that now. On
Right.
air, right?
You know,
I'm
this
not
is-
joking, though. We can do a
No,
whole
there's
episode
no-
on all the people who have died.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'll ever publish that stuff.
But the thing is, how are we going to get, Mark, though, but how are we going to get beyond? How are we going to get to this if people don't? I mean, what are we going to do?
Well, I'm
to get past
willing
all
to
this?
talk about
Thank
it
you for the
unless-
donation, James. Sorry,
as
call that out,
long-
James. Thank you.
As long as I don't hear from them telling me to shut up, then I'll keep talking. And so far, I haven't heard any. Nobody's messed with me that I know of.
But if you suddenly shut up and I can't get a hold of you, we know why.
Yeah.
Hey, I hate to say that. I mean, the thing is, we need people not to shut up. Well, that's what I said. I've always wondered if within universities and, I mean, science is about money, grants and funding, people get for research. That a long time ago, if they discovered the secret to the universe or anti-gravity, they'd be like, okay, we have to make sure this gets shut down by anybody else. Eventually, is going to trip on this, because that's what consciousness does. People, I mean, look, people are discovering the same technologies at the same time separately without knowing each other. Like there was two different people that worked on the first telephones, and the first signal wires, totally separately from each other. I can't think of their names. It's too late at night. But I believe that consciousness reveals this technology as we progress and evolve. Like Tesla had all this knowledge pretty much, coming from him. Same with Einstein. And, I feel like these people are born with this knowledge because it's the time where consciousness is developing enough that we can have people born that can actually interpret the knowledge that's already there. Our government might know that and knows that if we'd stumbled upon this, we've done research, somebody else on their own can. So let's muddy the waters. Let's screw it all up. Let's screw up the math. Do things to throw wrenches in there for physics, so they can't figure it out.
Yeah, I worry about all that stuff, but there's only so much I can control, and I'm trying to fulfill the mission I was sent for, and I believe it has to do with all this stuff and the science, because I'm making a lot of discoveries about the constants, being able to derive them, but to derive them to the level that the physicists are happy with is another story.
All right, we got somebody that's been waiting on the phone. I
Okay,
just
go ahead.
remembered. I am so sorry for the person waiting. Who do we got on the line?
Yes.
This is Drake,
Hey,
Drake
Drake.
Dragon. This is, or AKA Dennis.
I'm sorry.
And I missed some of your chatter about your relativity, super relativity. What's interesting is I believe some of the stuff that you're running into is stuff that was inspired nearly decades ago and tapping into that collective consciousness. When you had that aha moment was something I had about a few years back. Sadly, last year, I think I lost some of that memory, and you just connected some of those neural pathways, the way you explained magnetism, from that theoretical approach of using something like a very large amount of DC energy, also known as gig electron volts. When you get somewhere around 80, I was told you can create a sort of a boson cloud excitation. And I do have some understanding of it. We really should share notes one of these days, because your lab experiments is something I dream of doing, but I'm always working on computers and knocking the bugs out of them, why they just break on their own.
That's what I used to do. That was my job, one of my jobs. Same work.
I was wondering if you had a technical background and you notice all these weird patterns of things that for some reason, like from people, collective consciousness, all the way down to all these physics, and you're a follower of Einstein, Nikolai Tesla, which got screwed by Edison, sorry to say.
Right.
J.P. Morgan, really, but Edison too.
Both of them.
Yeah. So we definitely got to share notes. I've listened to your chatter. We're all on this. I do feel that you and I are literally on the same page of what you're discovering of space travel, warp bubbles, and ways of shifting space-time in such a way you can go to vast distance of the universe, because it's just information out there. We call it information. That's the way to describe it. So in order to go from here to there and appear there in like 15 minutes, 15 seconds, depending on the distance.
You would really
So you are really on the same area, yeah.
Yeah, just contact me through my website, superrelativity.com, super-relativity.com. Leave a message through the system there. I have a little area where you can drop a comment or whatever, and leave your email, and I can email you back and answer your questions.
Well,
that sounds really cool, because
on air though, like
I don't have I don't really have a direct question, but the two theories that you're asking on space travel was going to be the question that I was going to ask, but apparently you basically asked the same question.
Sorry.
Jason.
Yeah, I did. I read your mind.
So,
I knew what your call was before.
You read my mind. You literally had collective consciousness, because I was so excited, and I was like, oh, shoot, you just asked the question I was going to ask.
Sorry.
So,
Sorry, Drake.
But that's what I was going to add to the theory behind it, that you actually had similar to the amount of infinite energy that in order to create that energy bubble, travel to that vast distance versus the other method, which is the boson technique. But you did cover that, so.
Well, it's a lot.
So I guess I'll let someone else Yeah.
It's a lot like the Alcubierre drive, except his front end part where you have to create a black hole. That's nonsense. That's catastrophic. You don't do that with the slip wave. You don't do that with the slip wave. You create a slight attractive force. And Bob Lazar kind of confirms this, which is what makes him interesting to me. He reported that you put your hand near the negatively charged one, it's repulsive, but the other one is an attractive force. And when you tilt the ship around, it's pulled forward. Attractive is pulling, and the bottom end, the south pole, is pushing. And that's how they get propulsion.
Okay.
And that's exactly the way the slip wave works. So either he's a really lucky guesser, or somebody told
Uh-huh.
him, and that could have been his friend, the guys that
It's just that wave. You mentioned earlier electromagnetic, which kind of led me thinking that you're talking the same thing, where you're just sort of like constantly pushing, attracting until you get to your destination over and over. It sounds like a repetitive cycle, which is kind of electromagnetic if you think about it.
It is all electromagnetic, and you get the gravity from the electromagnetic. And this is all kind of general knowledge. I'm not,
that was
secrets. It's kind of been out there in pieces, bits and pieces here and there. I just put it together to form, because I knew that we had to break the light speed barrier. So I had to work on a problem. I says, what's the fastest moving thing? Light, particles. So I figured out how the photon works. I have the math. I have a paper. And then if you do the math, I fed the math to the AI. I says, what do you think about this? And I gave it the whole paper, and it's a long paper. It's many pages long. And it calculated
AI is
that.
very good
This
at
equation,
deducing
do this
logic.
equation,
Yes, it is very good at
do
that.
this equation. And it calculated all of that stuff. And I knew what it was going to get. No matter what the wavelength of the photon, the end result that the photon was going to move at the speed of light, which is very tricky to do mathematically.
That's the information. Yes.
And it calculated it, and it just was pausing, flashing, and then it said this. This is a profound discovery. That's all it said. Because nobody's ever figured out how a particle actually moves. It's really hard to figure it out. And
Move through space-time, or space, or whatever that two gap that you would call between it in our world. But yeah.
Well, what you have to do, along with this creation of this field, is it does something internally. It pulls space apart. And that's the key to breaking the light speed barrier. Within the slip wave,
the distance,
spatial density, the distance is changing, dropping, from point A to B to 0. So now you can move fast because the distance in here is 0, because the density is, the permittivity and permeability drop dramatically. And if you calculate Maxwell's equation for the speed of light, C equals 1 over the square root of permittivity times permeability, you will see it makes sense. As these two numbers get smaller, dividing into one, speed gets larger. And so all you have to do is...
smallest number you can quantify, yes.
They're already small numbers, and that's why the speed of light is so great. But if you shrink them even more, because space has a certain amount of permittivity, a certain amount of permeability, it's their properties of space, physical properties. Another reason why space is a thing. You couldn't measure these if it didn't exist. If it was made of nothing, it would not have permeability, it would not have permittivity, but it does. And when you reduce it, you get to go faster than the speed of light. And the more you reduce it, the faster you get. If it goes to 0, your speed becomes infinite. Now, that's really moving. You don't want that to happen.
That's Stargate. I mean, that's from one point to another.
They sometimes use the term transwarp in Star Trek as you exist everywhere, which that gets into some really weird stuff.
So I found that traveling beyond the speed of light, what's his name said it there, Skunkworks guy.
We were just talking.
Ben Rich.
Ben Rich, yes.
He says we now have the technology to take ET home. Yeah. If you can do that, you have faster than light technology. It's got to be.
If their aliens are coming here, they have to have it. That's just the truth.
They have to go many times.
That's my weird theory. If they were here, they've already been here, existed, and gone, and maybe moved around because of this technology. We wouldn't know, but we would know. We just wouldn't be able to deduce.
You want to go at least 20,000 times the speed of light to get to stars nearby in a reasonable amount of time, like a few hours. You want to go to Proxima Centauri. I don't want to wait 4.2 light years.
Without space-time dilation?
That's the beauty of this technology. It cancels the Lorentz transformations because you're pulling space apart. Now special relativity doesn't really apply. There's no limit, right? There's no limit to the speed of light.
There's no speed limit.
I break that one. I also break the contraction problem. I also break the inertia problem. Don't break it. I make it in a way that they don't come into play. So you can travel.
What we're witnessing with UFOs is that right there, the inertia problem. We've showed so much UFO footage on the show in 10 years. We constantly see a UFO go from point A to point B like that. If you were in there, that ship, you'd be jelly. The G-forces would smash you.
Inertia has to be.
That's where that theory comes in.
Inertia has to be canceled. If you have inertial leakage, you have a dead occupant. That you have to be
Pretty much
inside of the slip wave entirely, where it's pulled away. You decrease the spatial density. You stretched it out within this field, so that you're in your own environment, your own little bubble, and you can move anywhere you want, and you feel no inertia. The only experience, if you look out the window, you're going to get dizzy. I don't recommend looking out the window when you're making those kind of maneuvers, but you won't feel a thing. You will not feel any kind of contraction. You will not feel any kind of pulling inertia. You're right. It'd kill you. And it has to be that way.
Right. That's what I mean. I
If you
mean,
went-
for these
yeah,
UFOs
if
to
you
make those
went to the-
maneuvers,
If you went
no
to
way.
the speed of light using rockets or some normal technology, and you used rockets or whatever, what would happen is your ship would literally contract. You would have this inertial response, even though physicists deny that. But you would have
you
those,
gain more mass.
you would gain more mass, become much heavier. You'd be crushed like a grape. It would be fatal. You could, and plus it would take all the energy in the universe to get you up to the speed of light. This way, none of that.
isn't that what the theory behind black holes pulling in objects and compressing them down to that super dense mass and crushing it,
Yeah.
even light?
Anybody that considers that as a mode of travel is really in another world. That's ridiculous. You don't want to do it. You want to disconnect from space, form the bubble, the slip wave, and ride on the slip wave within it. And you will not experience any of the problems of special relativity would bring. No time dilation. Matter of fact, time goes a little bit faster, flows a little faster when you're in the slip wave.
Ooh, that's an interesting concept in sci-fi, like the consequences of constant slip wave
Well,
travel, warp speed travel.
You have to realize it's not time travel. It's the flow of time, not time itself. You're always you're always in the moment, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter whether your clock is moving slower or faster. If you go on a round trip and your clock moves, 10 minutes slower and comes back, you're not living 10 minutes in the past of the person that you just left and came back to. You're in the same moment.
Yeah.
Your clock just moved. Your atoms in your body moved a little slower because they were going at near the speed of light. It's just the flow of time. It's just standard physics and math that explain the time flow, not time. Not time travel. Time travel is a whole nother trick.
Well, I'd love to get into that. I'm fascinated by time travel. Drake, I'm gonna let you go, bud.
All right.
Thank you for calling in. But check out his website and definitely hook up. Oh, you hung up. But yeah, time travel as well. I've always been fascinated with. There's people believe there's time travelers, and there's been myths and legends of that. And I don't know if there's time travel is possible, but do you believe it is possible with this technology? I mean, separate. I know it's separate, anti-gravity and slip wave, but in a sense, time and space this is all connected. Time travel should be a part of this in a sense.
I believe it is possible. I am strongly against going back in time. It bothers me that you can change history, or I don't like that idea. I write about it in my book, and I actually talked to a very gifted medium, Tamara Richardson, who lives in my old hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina. And I went to her because of something strange that happened in my past that scared me, and I had to go talk to somebody that could give me a little bit of medical advice. And while we were talking, all this other stuff came up, this discovery stuff, as it has happened with several mediums that I've talked to. They all keep telling me about this, and I said, I don't know what you're talking about. because nothing special is going on in my life that I'm aware of. And anyway, we talked about time travel, and I said, "Yeah, I'm writing a book. I'm actually writing a chapter on time now, but um, all I know at that time for sure was in order to make time travel work, something has to move faster than the speed of light in the apparatus. The only thing I could think of was making photons accelerate beyond the speed of light. And in order to do that, you would have to change permittivity and permeability. And this psychic says, well, they've done that. The U.S. government has done that, and they use a thing called what's it called? Fractal lens. And I'm a physics guy. I never heard of that. How does this lady who's not technical at all know about fractal lens? So they're telling me from the other side, you look that up and you'll understand what they do. So I looked it up. There is such a thing as a fractal lens. And I found it on ResearchGate, and they do experiments with it. And you know what it does?
What?
If you shoot light into this material, it's specially tuned for electromagnetic interactions with light, the light accelerates because the permittivity and the permeability drop in this material to very low numbers. So the light moves through it enormously fast. And there's a great argument. Oh, it's group movement, not the physicists argue, but you can't break the light.
Right.
You can't break the
photons have a
light.
speed limit.
Well, it is in this material. And I thought, well, this is either the world's luckiest guess by this lady, or she was really talking to people on the other side that are aware of how to do time travel. And she said, yeah, the government does it, but they're not good at it.
Yeah.
And they're screwing up a lot.
Though that's why we get on the show about like Mandela effects. People are saying it's time travelers causing it, or the skeptics it's bad memory. But I've seen some things that make me consider the idea of Mandela effects being a real thing.
Right.
People having memories. What's your thought on Mandela effects?
Yeah, I talk about that in the book a little bit as well. That argument has come up in my mind too, and I think, well. Maybe there is something to that. Maybe we're remembering an altered past timeline where something was changed. I think for the most part, if you pursue it, you find a reasonable explanation that is not time travel. But there may be one or two arguments out there that are tough to crack. But I remember, like, the peanut butter Jiffy versus the other type of.
There's a ton.
There's another name for it. It's not really Jiffy. It's whatever.
Yeah.
And Mandela, I kind of remembered him dying earlier than he did.
Yeah, I like I said, I was a teenager in the '90s listening to Art Bell, and people calling in, arguing about Mandela. No, he died. No, he didn't. This is why it gets the name Mandela effect, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's the one that gets me is I'm a huge James Bond fan, and Moonraker, the girl with the braces, like she's supposed to have braces. Like there's a scene where there's the character Jaws, right, and he's got that. I swear the comedic effect isn't there without it, but they're not there. I have it on VHS and DVD. Braces aren't there, but my memory is they are. There's even, dude, I swear to God, I researched this. There's even review articles of the movie from, in 1970, whatever, that it came out. We have one reviewer talking about the braces, even though they're not there now, right? Talking about the braces and the comedic effect, or of that scene. And there's another reviewer who brings up, that comedic scene would have been much funnier if she had braces. So two different reviewers from the same time commenting two different ways they saw it. Her having braces and one not. One saying it would have been much funnier if she had braces. To me, like, the whole thing is when she smiles, like, there should be braces there. That would have been made. That's the funny part of it. That's why it's stuck in people's memories. But they are not there. They are not there now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a hard one to wrap your head around. I don't think about it too much because it's circular.
My wife says time travel makes your brain hurt.
Yeah, it's circular, and then you get dizzy, and then you can't really resolve it, and because you don't know for sure what. It's another reason I don't like time travel into the past. Card laid is a card played. Don't change the history. And I fear that they're trying to do that, and they may have done that. I don't know. It's very dangerous. If you pollute the timeline too much, you create another fragment, another segment, and who knows
Right.
what
I mean, if
that
right,
will do.
every time you're just stepping back into time, you're creating a new reality just by your presence there.
Yeah.
Right. It's a whole new
So
timeline. The
I
moment
would
you do that.
prefer not to mess, with things. I mean, you could eliminate Hitler. That would.
That's the
would be
classic example, right? That's the
Yeah,
classic
yeah.
example.
And that seems to not have happened, at least as far as we know. Maybe
Well,
in
who knows
another
what they would be
segment.
using time travel for, our U.S. government. Not to kill Hitler, obviously.
No, who knows?
No, not at all. But, I don't know if I buy that our U.S. government has time travel or not, or what they're doing with it, or they might have knowledge of it. I don't know. They would look for some practical way. My idea of time travel, if it exists, is it's parallel universe travel still. That you are always entering a different timeline. You can travel back to the past, but it is a parallel past. It is not your past. It has to be a separate timeline that you've now entered because it's different from the timeline you came from.
The technology that is used to do time travel is pretty much the same as Stargate technology, which is used to travel interdimensionally and across the universe in great distances. You use the same type of technology, and I build a very crude Stargate in my book and explain how it works basically. But I would love to see the real thing, to see how close I got to the actual design, if there is such a thing out there. I believe aliens have this technology and are traveling. It's a very efficient way of traveling great distances. You could do it in an instant. You go into the other dimension, you move so far within that dimension, which has a coordinate transformation that, 1 inch is equal to 100 million miles. And you go into that place, you move a few inches, you open the gate again, you come back out into this realm, and you're in another galaxy. And that's really moving fast without actually moving. You just jump between locations, traveling in the other dimension, what feels like a short distance, which is actually a massive distance in this dimension.
It's like making yourself bigger, and you're a tiny little person on a map, and make yourself bigger. And what would have taken you like an ant to crawl across this whole map, now you can take one step.
There's a lot more out there.
Well, that's a simplistic way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean,
we got to go we're going to go to our last commercial break. We have like a half hour left. We'll see if we get any other phone calls. We're going to go to our last commercial break, guys. We're going to continue with our guest, Mark Fiorentino. We're talking about the theory of super relativity. Where's my music? There it is. But we will be back after a short commercial break. Wait to call in until we come back from the commercial break because the phone lines will be down until we come back. But when we do, I will open the phone lines. You guys call in, discuss with our guest tonight, Mark Fiorentino, about the theory of super relativity after the short commercial break.
Intercepted the transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated. I will hear it.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soup Box, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium live on Facebook, YouTube, and
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're gonna go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college, I've got a family to support, and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive. Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Are you intrigued?
Please, Spock, do me a favor. And don't say it's fascinating. No. But it is interesting.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest has been Mark Fiorentino. We're talking about the theory of super relativity. And yes, a lot of this goes way over my head. I'm sure it's a lot of you too, but I am totally enjoying this guest and this idea. I'm a sci-fi geek. I want there to be spaceships with warp drive or hyperdrive. Like I said, humanity has no chance if we don't discover these things and find a way to go to the stars. You know, we got to take care of this planet we live on now. We're not doing a great job of it. We really do. We got time on this planet. We need to do that. But eventually there's a time limit to here. And for us as a species to advance, I want the Star Trek rule. Yes, I want warp drive. I want us traveling space. We just got to get better as a society before we go out adventuring in the universe. Because, dear God, let's not go out there and be like, you know, Team America in space blowing up aliens. We don't want that. We need to be the Star Trek civilization. We want to seek new worlds. You know, learn, discover, grow, you know, be good people, right? That's Star Trek. I don't think we're there yet, so maybe there's a reason why we don't have this technology. But we do need it. We do need it, and it could change the world drastically if we had anti-gravity technology, zero-point energy. These things would destroy the institutions that are in control right now. So there's a reason why I think it's been kept secret. A lot of reasons. We can get into that a little bit. We don't have a lot of time left, but let's go ahead and get back to our guests. Thanks for hanging out. I know it's really late for you, Mark, but thanks for sticking with us this late tonight. We'll see if we get any other phone calls. The lines, guys, are now open. I am opening them now, so call in, join the conversation. A little bit of time left.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, as a kid, I used to draw pictures of spaceships, like I was telling you before the show, 2001 Space Odyssey, and I mean, when I was thinking about when we were talking about the torsion field and that, you remember seeing the movie Event Horizon?
Yeah,
It's a horror movie.
so
It's a sci-fi horror movie. In this, the Event Horizon's a ship that suddenly comes back after being missing because what it did is it used a new, way of traveling through space, right? That doorway you're talking about. Instantly traveling is what it was trying to do. And of course, in this horror film, it goes to hell. Right? Of course, I got to make it like that. But in it had this huge, the engine was like this huge sphere. Right, with these other kind of like like the thing you showed wrapped around it, and it was spinning super fast. Like sci-fi Hollywood. They like to tear into stuff. I always thought Gene Roddenberry was in the writing team that he had in Star Trek were ahead of their time for so many reasons. But even in that, even with the warp drive, things that like I said, I think all these things are in our minds and our consciousness. To be tapped into to unlock. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but I think that's why we get creators like Gene Roddenberry or other people that are tapping into it in their fiction.
yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. We're all to some degree tapping into that universal consciousness, and the more you work with that, the more wisdom you acquire and knowledge. That can be very beneficial to mankind and yourself. This is a great adventure we're on. We're all on this adventure, and we get to share this together, which is very special. So we're sharing, being on the show, we're sharing the same experience, communicating and so forth. It's a great gift. Life is a tremendous gift. And we just have to learn to appreciate it and value it. Certainly having this cancer and these other problems I've had, I've learned to appreciate life a whole lot more, and my wife and family. And
I say it's about the people. I believe God and synchronicity and the Force, all that stuff. What it is about is bringing you, this experience with the people around you are there for a reason. Your wife's there for a reason. You're with her for a reason. It's not like predestination I'm talking about. I'm talking about love. I'm talking about this connection you have.
I think everybody comes in your life for one reason or another.
It's both predestination and free will. They work together here. It's a weird kind of thing. It's another one of those things that's hard to grasp completely. Well, either you have one or the other.
Well,
but it's
when
kind
you
of
talked
a combination of both.
God's consciousness being everywhere at every point, right? Knowing from the grain of sand. Well, that's what I always talk about. I had my spiritual experience where made me believer in a higher power, right? Well, I always say God, I believe, talks to us through synchronicity, through the mechanisms that there's no other possible way something could line this up to happen but God. There's no other force that can manipulate reality to that extent to make that song pop on the radio at that moment for that special meeting, or this certain thing to happen at this certain time, that synchronicity. You being born on the same birthday as my dad, like that is the force, as I call it, or God, if you want to call it.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any disagreement with that. There is a big plan. There is a universal God. And I guess that's the way I believe God. I go to Roman Catholic Church, and I enjoy the liturgy and so forth. But deep down, I believe in a universal God that's not just about... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what were you saying, Jamie? You cut out.
I said that's how I see it too, more of a universal God.
Yeah, and he's a personal God. Einstein didn't see it that way, but that's where he and I differ a little bit. Mm-hmm. God is very personal. I mean, he's involved with each and every one of us. Knows everything we've ever said, everything we ever thought, everything we ever... Yeah. Yes. And that's important to realize. This experience is of great value to our Father in heaven, very great value. And it's all that we take with us when we go. everything that we've done. It's recorded in the Book of Life, the Akashic record, and it's all there from not only our existences here on Earth, but all the beings and all the other planets everywhere that you could ever want to study and learn about. It's mind-boggling.
And all possible futures.
Yeah, and
that's how I look at it as, that's the multiverse and idea is that I've always saw it as, people say, I had one psychic on here who's like a total believer, everything's predestined. If I see it going to happen, it's going to happen. To him, everything is predestination. I do believe there is certain destinations, right?
Well,
I've had some experiences where I feel like it showed me that because of I could have had this choice or this choice. Either one are predestinations, but my choice chose.
It's a tricky business because there is a plan, and they can a psychic can tap into that and say, that's your future.
Right.
But you could screw it up because you have free will.
Right.
But if you work with your guardian angels and you work toward your original plan, then that is going to be what appears to be predestination. But you helped create it. You are a co-creator in this with the Father. Together, we create our reality and our future.
I think the future is always in motion. There's a quote from Yoda. Star Wars,
from
I always loved.
Star Wars, yeah. And it is, I think that is true. It is in motion. It's out there, and you're navigating your boat like you're going down the river, and the river's flowing in this direction. Well, you can steer this way a little bit, but eventually you're going to wind up somewhere down the river. No matter which way you steer, you're going to be somewhere in that river downstream.
Maybe God's the current, trying to carry you in the right direction.
He's the current. He's the boat.
He's the water. He's everything. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the people.
Well, my dad and me were getting into it because he was trying to tell me nothing is real in a sense, nothing's really physically here. Maybe I'm quoting him wrong, but I'm like, if you get into the big picture of things, maybe I don't know.
This is a problem I've had with scientists and physicists because they don't believe in the substrate, the ether, that.
Right.
They don't believe it's real. And so they base all their mathematics on something, individual objects like particles or whatever.
Everything's separate.
On their own, yeah. And that's the opposite of what's true. And so they can never, ever hope to get to the unified field theory because that model is not true. You put that into the AI and you get gibberish. I've tried. When I try to do quantum mechanics and do some advanced work, it gives me gibberish math that doesn't work. It doesn't check out. And I stopped doing it after a while because it can't work because it's the wrong model. There is only one real physical model for this particular universe. It may be different on other universes.
True.
The settings may all be different, and you can tweak them all, and you can get some other kind of experience, some other kind of reality. I fully believe that's very possible. But I'm going to stick to just trying to figure out this one. That's plenty enough for me. If I can figure out this one, great. And I can get some answers about things, and we can evolve as a race, a human race.
At least get a warp drive.
We need the warp drive. We could fix something. We could defend our planet from asteroids. We could change the weather. I know some people, don't mess with the weather. Well,
I think we are trying to do that already. But
I know how to kill a hurricane. And if we had the anti-gravity technology, we could build, which I think advanced civilizations build, is a shutter system out in space where you have maybe a million square miles wide shutters that open and close, and you can let as much sunlight in as you want, or you could shade it, and you could maybe do 1% of the Earth's surface or whatever, you get a 1 to 2 degree drop in the temperature of the Earth. You could set us back to the way we were back in the 50s and 60s, and much colder winters. Everybody would be happy about that, I guess.
No.
But my
No.
idea,
Not me.
is that you could use it to shade certain parts of the ocean where hurricanes form, keeping the water cooler.
It is all about temperature.
Atmosphere, and you can kill the hurricane or make it much less destructive. And that should be a good thing. But I know somebody would want to argue with that and say, if you do that, then, who knows what. And maybe that's true. I don't know. But
right now, I wouldn't want to put it in the hands of anybody.
Yeah.
But if we had a good civilization and got our crap
planet
together.
If you covered up too much.
Right.
If you did the whole surface, yes, you'd have a chokehold on the entire planet. You could freeze it. I mean, really drop the temperature. And that would be or can you imagine if it broke in the closed position? That could be a real problem,
Right. Yeah, we're not there yet.
No, we're nowhere near there.
Well, I laugh
because
because
an idea to try to fix a problem.
We're trying to get back to the moon, and we're having difficulties, as I see, with the Artemis program right now.
Well, it's laughable that we're using rockets when we have this other technology that
Like, what is the show here? I've had people tell me, like my in-laws even say, like, well, we give too much money to NASA. I'm like, what are you talking about, Willis? We give nothing to NASA compared to the budget we give to the military-industrial complex when it comes to weapons of war. NASA has a very small fragment of our actual budget. What to do. It's a show. It's a show. If we have we have secret space fleets out there, then everything at NASA is might as well be a fake reality show.
Well, you ever notice how our Mars probes keep breaking and then get fixed again? Oh, it went out of commission. All of a sudden, a month later or something, it's working again. How did they fix that?
Well, I told you, there's the infamous Mars repairman. You see him on the rover, the shadow of the person working on it.
There's certain pictures where you'll see Mars dust on it, and then a few months later, it's clean.
Where'd it go?
How did that happen? Oh, the wind blew it off. Baloney. Somebody went out there and did maintenance on it.
Imagine if you're that guy, part of some secret space program. Like, dude, we got you screwed up. We're putting you on Mars. You're out there on your own. Or how many people are out there? I think did we do that? Do we have like some secret space fleet doing it? I don't know. I mean, I really don't. But according to Gary McKenna, we do.
We probably have bases on the moon, the dark side of the moon, and on Mars. And
I saw when I was 16, just a few hundred feet above my head, downtown Michigan City. Me and 4 others saw this thing. It was rectangular, no lights on it, but it was like very boxy in shape. I felt this weird buzzing in my head. It made us, and I think we all did. We all looked up, and this thing went right over our heads, silently downtown Michigan City. That's the moment I knew, if that's us, man, what the hell? If that's our technology doing that, then no way. That I mean, that's massive and silent. What's moving that through the air, right?
Yeah, I saw a triangular UFO that was an aircraft carrier or too big float over my house at a pretty high altitude. I would say at least 6,000 or 7,000 feet up.
Yeah, this thing was not that high up. It was right over Michigan City. I don't know how anybody else didn't see it. And my 4 friends all the next day forgot it. I'm the only one who could remember it.
Yeah. I did an experiment one time. I called it Operation Skyhook. And all I did is I put my camera, the little, what do you call those cameras? I got one right here. GoPro.
Oh, GoPro? Yeah.
High res. I pointed it up at the sky. I let it run all day long. And then I would review the film at night. Because my idea was that there's UFOs flying around all the time. We just don't notice them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you scan the sky long enough, there'll be some fly over here. And I got it on my, I think I uploaded the little film to my YouTube page.
Well, there's tons of people doing that.
I captured a couple of it took me over a month to get a decent shot, but they just come right down out of the deep space, right into the atmosphere. They do some weird maneuvers. It's not an airplane. Airplanes go like this across the sky.
right?
These
Well,
things are moving like this, like that, up and down, around, and then they.
Well, you seen that classic footage from NASA where that like you see the coming from deep space an object, right? And it's like coming down, and it looks like there's a flash, like something, and it goes phew like that. Again, if there was anything in there, it'd be jelly if it wasn't using this technology,
Right.
and something else shoot out at it. It's classic footage. I can't think of the name. Or maybe it was from International Space Station.
I think I remember
that. You've seen it if you're interested in this stuff, But right there, I mean, that shows, like, one, we know about it. Two, that's something coming from deep space that can literally defy the physics and shoot off like that. And something shooting at it from Earth. What's shooting at it? Are we shooting at the aliens coming at us? Or was that somebody else shooting at our, is there secret space wars going on?
Yeah, well.
I know, $1 million question.
They're not telling us the truths, and they do a pretty good job at lying, and some of the lies they make up are half-truths and sound very convincing, and everybody's thoroughly confused. That's the bottom line.
That's the plan. It worked
in the UFO industry. Yeah, in the UFO industry, nobody knows what the hell's going on. Everybody's got a different idea, and it's pretty frustrating.
They rely on the chaos.
Yeah. Well, look how long people have been arguing about Bob Lazar, for one. And I
argue with that. In my head, I argue about the guy. He gets stuff right, though. His descriptions are eerily correct. They match my theory, and I thought, well, I looked into his history, and he knows a guy named John Lear.
Yes.
Lear's father worked with UFOs. He helped design the interface to some of these.
I talked to John Lear once. Yeah.
So my idea is that Lazar got his knowledge about how they work from John Lear.
Well, I listened to all those interviews. Well, this is the thing. This is what I think happened with John Lear and Bob Lazar, and I don't think they ever liked to talk about it. But I listened to the earliest interviews between Bob Lazar, even before he said his name was Bob Lazar, like when he was going anonymous, like the earliest times when this story was just starting to come out, when he finally first went on Art Bell in that first interview. He talks about him and John Lear were friends before his job at Area 51. John Lear was totally into UFOs, known publicly, right? And I believe those two came up with the idea to get him into Area 51. I think Bob Lazar legitimately went to Area 51. I think him and John Lear, which can be considered espionage, right? Making a plan to go inside to spy on it. So that's why I don't think they ever openly talk about it, right? Well, John's gone now; he's passed away, but I don't think that's why they ever over talked about it, because that'd be in a sense a conspiracy and of espionage to go in to secretly get it. Because what I would have think was from their established relationship that they had gotten, that John Lear found out, oh, you work at Los Alamos and you know Hal Puthoff, and boy, you should just ask him that you want in on the project. And I think Bob did it, thinking nothing would come of it, and sure enough, they're like, "Yeah, here you go. You're flying out on the plane with the red stripe and heading out to Area 51 at SR4." I honestly believe that might have what happened with that. John Lear and him just which, like I said, they could be danger of being accused of espionage. Because what did he do when he got the job? He took John Lear and his wife, who he was cheating on him at the time, thought he was cheating on her because he was always gone, took him out to the desert to see these things flying around, and that's how he got busted.
That's the story, definitely. Yeah, well, it'll be a mystery. All I know is that he did definitely get some stuff right in his description.
What about the element 115, that whole part of it? What's your thoughts on that? This would be the energy source.
Yeah, I don't see how that makes the energy that he talks about, but because you need a surplus somehow of electrons coming from somewhere, and I don't see how it gets that. So,
I'm
you
not.
know,
I'm a
but
layman.
then,
I'm a layman, but I'm trying to remember how he described it from the interviews. Was basically its breakdown, or the breakdown of the element from basically going from, or it's like something about the breakdown of the element. That's natural, like what I was trying to think of the word.
decay.
Decay. Well, yeah. I guess it would be its natural decay or something special about that.
Yeah, then an electron is left over maybe, and then but it would run out of fuel eventually. If that's the
It would be
case,
another fuel source, right?
yeah, you would need a replenishment from somewhere.
Right. Well, like our government's not going to be using their ships are definitely not flying on 115. Where
It
are they
would
going to
be
get
great
it?
if you could store it where it wouldn't decay. That would be super good. But maybe there's something to that. I don't really know. That's not the part of his story that convinces
Right.
me. It's the part about the way the gravity field emitter works. He seems to get that right, and the description.
It's like 3 emitters that on the bottom of the sports
and
model.
the sports model, and the description of the light coming at the bottom of the craft as it's floating and going up. You will get that with a high voltage. You'll get like a purplish light.
Right.
It's coming through the insulator, and because of the high voltage, and it's you get a little bit of photon leakage there as electrons are moving around in the insulator and oscillating and emitting light. That sounds reasonable description as well. So I keep an open mind about the guy. I don't know for sure one way or the other if he's for real or not, but he got
My
good
other theory I have to it, though, is that because of this relationship, John Lear, he was a prime target for a disinformation campaign by our government, too. Sure, Bob, you want to work at Area 51? Let's bring you in. And then you show him a bunch of stuff that you want out there, in a sense, to the public.
One of the interesting thing is the government lets him talk. I mean,
right.
He were the real deal. They'd have shut him up a long time ago, one way or the other, but they don't. So that makes me think, well, maybe he's not for real. But
I know. I met
I don't
Stanton Friedman, who was not a believer in Bob Lazar. And for him, it was the records at Los Alamos that didn't match up, things like that.
There's
His
a lot of
educational
shady-
background, yeah.
There's a lot of shady things in his past and a lot of things that don't add up.
Oh yeah, his like involvement in a brothel, like he had put in their security system, and the payment gave him half ownership, and so the government. What I find is how the government has treated him, though. Like, look, like how like lots of that goes on in Las Vegas. They went after him, I believe, and then in that Jeremy Corbell segment or documentary, he mentioned they're literally out in the woods, and he tells them to put his phone away because they talk about element 115, and yeah, I believe the government's listening on your phones all the time. The next day, the FBI is raiding his company. Just from the guy Jeremy Corbell asking him, "Do you still have element one? Did you ever sneak out on element 115?" And he's like, shut your phone off. Like let's not talk about that." And then it's like the next day he's raided. That's in that documentary.
Yeah,
and it really did happen.
There, yeah. Well,
and the reason they came up for the raid is really ridiculous, really ridiculous. So there's something there. There is some pressure from the government I've seen just out of that documentary with how they reacted to that, and the way they went after him was a BS excuse. We don't have time. We're almost out of time for the show to get into that, but it's really fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a mystery man. I don't know what to say one way or the other about him.
It's hard to say, but I also think a lot of this stuff is Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, all these major military complex companies have a lot of this. The secrets, they're the ones really holding the keys to the kingdom on this. Not so much in our DoD or Pentagon. Those are just the generals that are looking for a job after they get out. They don't know anything about the space program or whatever going on. Maybe it could be all run by these super elite families that have control of it through the military industrial complex. I don't know. You can't trust. I mean, there's a classic story of
no, and some that don't.
Right. Yeah, I think it's carried through families. Honestly, I think it's handled down like through a nepotism system. Like, you know, it's given more friends and families, or, you know, secret societies or whatever. But if you're going to get your information out there about theory of super relativity and all this that you're going to do, I mean, you're going to have to take that shot. You're going to have to publish. Before we go, what's your last thoughts you want to get on what you are trying to achieve with this? Like,
well, if you're into science and into physics, go read my papers that are out on the internet, especially Newton's G. I found today I had an error in one of the papers I sent out, but the one on ResearchGate is correct. I've cracked the code on a lot of constants, but the way I derive these things is still not satisfactory to the physicists. But I have to do a deeper derivation. But go out, if you're a physicist, go out and visit my website. Try to get a feel for the theory of super relativity. It's quite expansive, and eventually I hope to make it complete, which is so far the problem with all other theories. They're incomplete. There's gaps, things that aren't explained. And I'm trying to work on explaining it all. So I work on the framework now. And eventually I will publish that paper. But unfortunately, the truth of the matter is the unified field theory will probably be classified.
I think it has been.
And maybe that's the reason nobody's finding it, because maybe somebody already did and they just locked it down and, you know, shut
That's
the
what I'm
person
afraid
up,
happened.
killed them. But, you know, all I can do is my life plan. This is what I came to do. It's real important. I'm backed by very high authority on this.
Well, you've survived a heart attack and cancer. So what?
Yeah.
Take the shot, man. Publish. Get that information out there. Keep doing what you do. You
It'll
got
be
to.
many weeks before my next paper comes out, because this one's a really biggie and it's really complicated. But yeah, that's my strategy, is to publish, to do like any other scientist would do, and you know, hope for the best.
And you want peer review.
Peer review. That's
Yep.
where it's at. That doesn't happen, then I remain in the shadows.
Yeah.
And my theory dies along with me.
Wow. I don't think that's what's going to happen, Mark. We got to have revolutionaries in the physics world as much as we need in other parts of society, as much we need it in the physics world. And I wish you luck. And if you keep in touch with me, you want to come back on here more and talk more about this, I'd love to have you back on. But it's been an honor to have you on tonight.
Thank you, sir. Go to ResearchGate and my website, www.super-relativity.com.
Thank you, Mark. Guys, go check out his website. If you're interested in this, not way over your head like it is for me, go check out his papers. But that is it for the show. We will be back next Sunday. Same bad time, same bad channel. Thank you to everybody who follows and subscribes to the show. Keep sharing out Paranormal Soup, where the weird happens live every Sunday night, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. Thank you to our Patreons for your donations and our YouTube channel members. You help keep the show alive with your donations. I could not do this show. It costs too much half the time anymore. Website rates and this StreamYard and everything. So thank you so much to everybody. Thank you for the $1.99 donation tonight, James. Thank you so much. Thank you for the calls. Thank you, Mark. Everybody have a great night. See you next week.